us into the game with some music in the background. And we're up to session number 46, and the mics are on this week.
Ooh.
Last week, the table mics were not working. But the entire week. Don't you love Windows updating?
Yeah.
Oops.
It just reset all the drivers to the default, so every channel was picking up what was online, not what was in person. So Jeremy, you're well recorded last week. You were the only voice present. I thought you were like that. So we basically had a couple of people online last week, and they were the only people recorded.
Yes. One thing we haven't done yet
Yep.
is what came out of downtime. What's available in our downtimes?
I'm still cleaning that up. So
Okay.
we'll get
to that.
It'll be cleaned up for when we actually get out of the current story. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I've basically been spending probably about 14 hours a day sleeping for the moment, so I'm exactly catching up on things. I would like to say I was healthy and active, but I'm not. It's an unfortunate side effect. Okay, so today at the table we have Paul because Stefan is currently half asleep.
Yes. Who is the elven diplomat and
Obviously the most important person of the group.
not always. Not always. When there's fighting on, I let other people go ahead.
I mean, I can't say that for everyone.
You could. May not be true, but you could. Diplomat and student of dragons, and part-time healer, celestial warlock, and blue-haired pretty boy, generally.
We have a slight picture up there so people can see.
Yes.
Well, it's visible for the main viewer.
Right.
So it's hidden behind the music thing, which is not recorded.
Yeah. Yes, but my picky's up there, I can see it.
It is. Okay, so other person at the table is Stefan.
So, I'm entitled to the most generosity monk. He has written 8 books you don't need to know about. And,
But there's so much story.
yeah. He hates curtains.
It's only a slight phobia about curtains has crept in.
Yeah. It's slime.
I'm sure there are worse things that can be a problem.
Burning entire buildings down has nothing to do with it.
Yes.
You've only done that twice?
Maybe?
Hmm.
Once definitely. I don't
Once
remember
recently you
twice.
burnt a tower down.
Yeah.
But it has been a while and there have been many things you've been doing.
Yeah. I don't think twice, but definitely once.
Hmm. Yes, Wall of Fire is very tempting at some point.
I'm sure it will be useful to write your name somewhere.
Yes. I've got other things for that. But no, I've got Dimension Door instead, so.
Yep. Comes in handy except for when you've got bags of holding.
Yes, which I've done.
Or artifacts.
Alright, yeah.
That's okay. I only mention these things in the background in passing. Stefan figured out how to take
So-
artifact through in one of the games.
Painfully.
How? Hmm?
Painfully.
Right, so because I've got the spear, there's actually no point me having Dimension Door.
At the moment. Until you figure out how to dimensional travel with it.
Yeah.
But let's face it, you're not going to learn how to dimensionally travel with it until you've got Dimension Door to actually practice with.
No, I've got Dimension Door.
He's got
That's
it
what I
now.
mean.
No,
But you
no,
need
my,
to practice.
no, my point is, I can't use it.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't. I've just been told I can't do
No,
it.
no, no. You just can't take an artifact through with you at the moment.
I can't leave this thing behind.
You don't have to Dimension Door far to practice. You Dimension Door 5 feet. Oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
What can
okay.
I do to
My point
manipulate
is
things?
still, there's no point me having it for adventuring purposes until I've practiced with it out of adventuring time,
Potentially.
because otherwise there's no point me using the spell.
Well, again, it comes down to
My point.
Dimension.
No.
The
My
Dimension
point
Door in
is,
adventure is still fine in the sense that if we come across a door, hey, we want to get to the other side of the room, or the other side of the door, but we can't get through, Dimension Door to the other side and open it from the other side, and we'll hold the spear in the meantime.
except you can't touch it.
And and I didn't learn it outside of Adventure Time. I experimented in Adventure Time and it worked.
Yeah, but you said painfully.
Yes, that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm talking
Right.
out of character.
But if the spear, say, if you were to drop to the other side of a wall, yes, the spear might drop to the ground. We can't necessarily pick it up. But then you come back through the door. No one's been able to take it because, hey, we've been guarding it in that meantime.
Yes.
And
And
collecting it. So, like, I wouldn't say it's a useless spell. It has less effect or less potential effectiveness, but it's not useless by any stretch.
yeah,
Because Dimension Door, you never, like, the idea of it is, compared to Teleport, it's actually much more useful. Because Dimension Door, you're never going far.
and I can take somebody else.
So the point being that you're never actually leaving the spear far behind. So
I've just got to remember to put it down every time.
yeah. Or it'll put itself down quite happily if you go through the book. Damn it.
It's not the first time they've been experimenting with that.
Absolutely.
Wednesday
Well,
group
I
did a
can't
lot of
know that.
experimenting with that. I know that's the
No,
thing
no.
is that was me bringing it to you as a GM or
Yeah.
player. The effects of your character has to learn to deal with it and figure out how to overcome it. Because as most characters believe they can't. Just because they believe it doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, because generally it's either you can't or it's very, very, very difficult. Like an unattuned bag of holding.
Or it didn't work first time and people never try again.
Well, if it's painful and it doesn't work the first 2 times, then yes, you give up.
Yeah.
Because unless you've got an assurance that there is a way through.
Your character does
there's
know that there
generally
is a
no
way
point.
to do it because dragons have done it.
Well, I didn't know that either.
In the game where you were the Atruaghin and you went to the dragon thing, the dragons teleported you and all your equipment, including your
Yes, but
artifacts.
that's dragons.
Yes.
Yeah, but okay, so you know it can be done.
So you know it can be done, you just don't know how yet. Or
Yes,
what
You've
you-
just got to work
I know
through.
that one now.
Yeah.
The other groups didn't have that bit of fact when they were experimenting.
I also hadn't learnt that you can't teleport with these things until after that event. So it's had
Yeah,
no
okay.
importance to me.
Yeah. That's why I bring it up, so it's not actually out of context.
Hmm.
So that brings us to online, and we have Jeremy. Not forgetting Jeremy.
Yes, good evening all. I'm playing Peredir, the Atruaghin clans member from the Elk clan. Started life out as a lawman, sheriff for his clan. Along the way, he's had some ups and downs in his career, such that he's now a lawman guiding the spiritual law of the clans. Or at least learning to do so.
So making sure you keep those spirits in line.
Yes.
Yep.
Just a different sort of law. Okay, so the storyline has you in Alphatia delivering some letters and getting thrown in jail for about 6 months odd. As a way of getting out of jail, Drazzle helped you go backwards, which sends you into a time rift which you apparently solved and freed a person who sent you to Alphatia in the first place. So if you fail to save him, you don't get sent, which may or may not bode well for the storyline.
It would sort of implode a bit.
That's what they suggest. Time paradoxes
I'm
are
sure
fun.
it won't be a problem for us.
No.
Well, as far as Russell's concerned, you've already solved it, so just go ahead and do what you did before.
Okay. But the point being, yes, if we fail, it won't be a problem for us anymore.
Yes.
Okay, so you've found yourself back in the recent past of the setting, dealing with a cursed mansion that was trapped in a demi-plane of dread under a curse. And you just happen to walk in sometime during that curse. No idea how long because as far as they're concerned, it's always
There isn't.
morning.
And to an extent, functionally, there is no time.
And you are in the middle of meeting the various people of the place to find out what is actually happening. You've
And
managed to figure out there is a curse. You've managed to figure out time doesn't pass normally here because some things age and some things don't. And so far there is no consistent logic you've been able to tell. And everyone seems a bit strange.
Apparently no one's been sane enough to actually provide a real answer.
Yes, and because it's a mystery, we actually have to talk to everybody and find out what the hell's going on.
And everyone outside of Praedia's spiritual protection takes on aspects representing their personality to the extreme, which even changes them physically.
Yes. Which is why we've got a human, looks like a humanoid lion.
That's right. Hence we've got Richard the Lion Heart, in fact, Lion Head.
Yes. Yes, and possibly that's why that girl looked like a half ogre. She probably actually isn't one. She's just like that.
Or she
Was.
simply possesses everything that climbs into her bed.
Well, there's that too. Was actually because she was slaughtered by a certain
It was curtains for her.
fabricophobe.
The bed got her, not me.
You jumped on it and there was a squish noise.
And then you ripped the other body in half.
Yeah, it was stuck in a chimney. How the hell am I supposed to get it out?
Well, it was wrapped in the curtain.
Exactly.
It was the curtain's fault. It's always the curtain.
Always.
And so while travelling through the second floor, depending on what you call first and second floor, ground floor and up next floor
We're
up.
not American. There is a ground floor and a first floor.
So technically the first floor. Because I keep reading so many American written books, you
That's
always
true.
get confused. So, book-wise second floor, reality first floor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to get that cleared up there. And you have been in a room which is set up as a fencing chamber where someone fenced and won.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
And now the fencing equipment has put itself away because you won, and you feel a lot better.
Yep, I healed the floor, I think.
And you are now treated as if you've had a full rest.
Yes. Which is actually pretty good because there's no way of actually resting here.
Yeah, which means I can go and take another swing at Mr. Boxing
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah, so you can go back to the boxing round and have round 2.
Yeah. Because we wanted to win somehow.
Well, basically,
To get information.
if you can explore further and then come
5
back,
rounds
then
for
you'll.
a single question is painful. Like, it's like this thing was built for level 20 characters, not level 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you were level 7.
7, sorry.
Just so you know,
Sub
it,
10.
it was designed for. I think it was 4 to 8. Just out of.
On the upper end of 8, I reckon.
Mm.
Well, but let's face it. Yes, the opponent you faced in the pugilist arena was somewhat tougher than you were, but it's not like it cost anything necessarily to have lost.
Well, just the fact that I can't, recuperate my health here.
Oh,
Yes.
just so you know, the original adventure was designed for levels 3 to 6.
Right.
How the hell would a level 3 or 6 beat that guy? There's no way.
Well, the original write-up, before they rewrote it for this, he would have been rather less chunky.
Oh, okay.
And rather easier to one-shot.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It would have been written for AD&D 2.
No,
No?
basic D&D.
Actually,
which
D&D.
This
is,
would be basic. Yeah.
because this is an actual basic D&D module re-imaged for 5th edition.
Yeah, well, I didn't know the original. Although I should have taken it from the cover style. Yeah. The thing is, of course, way back then, you wouldn't have been a monk. You'd have been a dwarf.
Yeah.
Not a class, a dwarf.
Or a
which-
fighter.
No, a dwarf.
No.
It would be if you don't want to be a fighter.
Yeah, right.
If you want to be, I'm just going to be a damage dealer with some muscles. Basically. Well, actually, you could be an elf too.
I know Elf was
but-
always magic user fighter, so they were
Oh
combining
no, that's
the
true.
two.
Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you want to do, I'm doing melee damage. You were a dwarf basically.
Or a low-level cleric, because they don't get spells at first level.
Yeah, but we're talking three odd. At which point, yeah, you're tough. You use an axe or a pair of axes or something like that, and you've got armor.
Yeah.
You were
Well,
neither.
In
Actually,
this,
you're none of those three.
And the thing is, if you were playing a monk in this, you probably would have absolutely slaughtered the thing.
Yes, yeah.
So your monk character would have had not a problem or even noticed or even scratched.
And remember also
I don't
that...
think I even finished the 5 rounds. I think I got knocked out in 4.
Yeah. But remember also that it's not like anyone in this particular party is particularly suited to being a boxer.
Well, no, but, you know. It's not like I have negative in my constitution, which I don't.
Yeah.
Well, it's the fact that I'm not certain we've got anyone with a positive in their strength, do we?
No?
I have +3 to my dex and +3 to my con. My
Yeah.
+1 to strength.
Plus one
so
to strength.
he's a
So yes, we
pugilist.
do. Yeah, you're the closest thing we've got to a pugilist. You are actually that sort of fighter.
Yeah, but I can use my dex as my thingy modifier.
You're to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But not
But
so
you-
much damage, though.
but you can't do
No.
it for damage.
No.
Yeah.
Unless I use
okay,
a
anyway.
finesse weapon? No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you're in the fencing chamber. You've just finished fighting, and the flying rapiers put themselves away.
Good show, well done.
Yep. Where to next?
So having a look...
So you
Did we get a chance to look around this room before the fencing match actually started?
Well, the things we're fighting in the room, you had someone go in and attack, and then we finished up after that. So we finished up in the room before you had a good chance. Around the room,
so-
you can see 6 helms and leather doublets, which are designed for fencing, and a dozen rapiers.
Right.
With 3 fighting strips for people to fight.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have the internet on?
I can make internet on.
Yeah, because I was looking at my character sheet and going, that doesn't reflect any of the updates that I did an hour ago. Because it happily opened up my file using one room remembered from last fortnight.
Yes, always enjoy when it requires me to type my password in twice just to get in. Not because I got it wrong, but because I didn't refresh the page.
Yes, the first one isn't accepting anything.
Because it has timed itself out, but it put up the incorrect password message. But it does that when it times
Well, it
itself
does,
out.
because it's not authenticating.
Yeah.
The fact it can't authenticate because it's not got no connection to the authentication server is immaterial to it.
Yeah, it should be running now.
Cool. It's not connecting yet.
So, yeah, well,
It should be visible now.
Yeah, it just wasn't showing up.
Kennedy is not particularly interested in the metal weapons or things like that. But
Yep.
he'll have a look around the room and see if there's anything of interest if he's looking around. But otherwise, I guess we'll go back out and look at the next door.
Yes.
Okay, so so that room there is designed as a fighting arena for a more civilized time.
Mm-hmm.
What, lightsabers? You
Well,
were
they
waiting
are
for that,
rapiers.
weren't you?
Well, not as random as a bow.
And I'm not
Very
certain that I would
accurate.
consider most of the time of the Star Wars era movies to be a particularly civilized time.
Well, there were civilized times. Just pre-Empire.
Okay, so looking down the hallway, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms you have not been in that you can see doors to, and a corridor down the end with another statue.
Right.
So you can move down to the next door.
What was the statue we saw previously? Do we...
43. So the statue you saw previously was a marble statue depicting a matronly laughing woman dressed in court finery resting in a semicircular alcove at the intersection of 2 hallways. She appears to be
but-
laughing in the direction of the long corridor, roughly where you're standing now.
Right.
Okay, but like it didn't do anything or anything like it wasn't the fact that there's another statue is not automatically cause for concern.
Well, it was a marble statue. So who
Yep.
knows? There may be a place that marbles people.
Fair enough. In which case, then Pettidy will have a listen at the first door, and or like the next door, whichever that's on. Would that be left or right? So, as we go down the corridor towards the statue.
Yes.
Dun dun
We'll be
dun.
wary to see if it jumps at us or something.
Okay, so you go to the statue before trying the door.
No, I'm happy to be listening at the first door.
Okay, listening at the first door, there is silence behind the door.
Okay.
Not the copyrighted silence either.
I don't think we've had much evidence of traps so far in this building, have we?
What?
Yes, you have actually.
We have?
Mirror traps in the hallway.
Oh, for the bright light effect,
Yeah.
yep.
That will blind people.
Okay,
Creatures
well,
floating around.
I will have a look at the door and see if there's any evidence of traps or concerns if I were to open the door. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. No problem.
Natural one.
With my plus 10 perception, I got 13.
You got 13.
Yeah.
Okay, looking at the door, there doesn't appear to be any obvious trap until you realise there's a lot of magic floating around this place. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Is the door locked?
No, it's not locked.
Yeah. I will mention to the others, I can't hear anything on the other side, but I will open the door as soon as you give me a signal that you're ready. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
good.
Okay, so you open the door
Absolutely.
and you peer in.
Yep.
At eye level is a floating blade, tip about an inch away from your face.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
There's
Step
nothing
back
holding
from the
there's-
blade.
There's nothing holding the blade.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not being in front
Anytime
of
a blade's directly in front of your face is a good excuse to step back.
And,
No, duck sideways.
and behind it, you can see that there's a bedroom. As you pull back, it pulls back away behind the door.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, but I'm full at the moment.
But apparently, so the sword is floating, just like the ones in the fencing chamber. Is that what you're saying?
Unlike those ones, these ones appear to be much
I'll bring
heavier
you
blades.
just in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so there's more than one sword.
Yeah.
But again, they seem to be
So great swords.
manoeuvring themselves of their own accord.
They are maneuvering that they are flying swords.
Right.
So they're great swords then.
Just looking at the type. Sorry, I got distracted by food arriving.
Fair enough too.
Focus me. It's a bowl thing,
Oh,
so I got you rice and beans.
Okay, I'll make them
and
great
then
swords.
all the vegetables and chicken.
Just 'cause.
Mhm.
Just goes.
So if I
Just
can
as
know
flying
Well-
sword, so
everything
flying
that's
sword
on
can
this
be a
list.
great sword.
Well, you said they were heavier blades than what you fought before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Have you seen the
Yeah.
weight on a rapier?
That's
Same
right.
as a
There's certainly a
longsword.
lot of variation between heavier than a rapier all the way up to greatsword.
Not really, actually.
Right.
Rapiers are the same weight as an arming sword. They're just balanced differently. A great sword only weighs about 2 or 3 pounds more than that.
Anyway, these are great swords,
yeah.
and they're still metal as far as parity is concerned, so that's
Yes.
fine.
And
But
they
the
are,
swords are not coming out through the door or anything like that. They're
They-
happy to.
they're not coming out of the door, but they seem to be lining up to strike anyone who steps into the room from outside your vision.
Okay. What can we see through the doorway then as to whether or not it's worth trying to get past these swords?
It appears to be a bedchamber. You can see.
I can't remember what you said.
Yeah, there should be some way to turn them off.
Do you want one of those?
Sure.
Hit them really hard, probably.
Yeah, hopefully something apart from that, because that involves them hitting back.
So it seems to be. You can see. It almost looks like an armory, except the thing out of place of the armory is the fact it has a bedchamber.
I
Okay.
know people like that.
No, you would have said armory if you didn't actually see the bed.
Yes.
And besides the large bed, there's blankets. There is a drapery behind it, very much like a curtain, with icons all over it that don't make any sense.
Not going in there.
And
well-
a rack with many wide brim hats with feathered plumes standing on it, which don't look like any birds you've seen.
Right.
You want to remember?
Pettidy will have a glance at the others and then
Mhm.
close the door with a nod to the sword saying, apologies for the disturbance. It doesn't look like there's anything in that room that's worth trying to talk to, assuming the swords don't talk back when I
Yeah, but you,
say goodbye.
There is a flash of light as the door shuts.
Okay. So, yes, there isn't any much in that room that was worth going further, so we shall look at the next door.
Okay, you cross the hall because if you zigzag, you can do all the rooms while walking down the hall.
yep,
Okay.
looking in things as we go.
Oh, yes. Dice are on fire tonight.
Yep.
I take a listen at the door with my plus 10 perception. I get 11.
Okay, so
Brilliant.
with your 11, what would you like to hear? And that's what you report to everyone is what you think you're hearing.
Oh.
Okay. Like most of the rooms here, nothing to hear. And we'll open the door to find if there's nothing to see.
Right. So what you hear is lots of boring, so that's what you get.
So I will check for traps on the door. Oh, God.
Another one?
No, another 3 though, so there's obviously no traps on the door, so that's good.
Yeah, it's not the sort of door that you feel would be trapped. It's not heavy enough or light enough. It just seems to be that in between heavy and light.
In which case, is the door locked?
No, it's not.
Well, I will again indicate to the others that I'm about to open it and then do so.
Okay, so opening the door, you can see a large a large poster bed covered in bedclothes with its drapes partly open and fluttering in the breeze. That you don't feel, by the way. With a heap of laundry at the bottom that sort of lead to the doorway. As if someone basically discards clothes as they walk. And one of the walls is covered in framed portraits of various sizes, composed with people of differing talents. And an oversized chair surrounded by books sits in the center of a dark blue carpet near a small table.
Okay. Since this room is empty, but at least doesn't have threatening claws in it, Penadir will step in, aiming to look at probably the portraits as the thing first of all, to see if we can work out, okay, who else we expect to find in this building.
Yep.
It would certainly appear that we're currently up in the living quarter, the bed quarters for the family members. So.
Okay, looking around, the portraits themselves appear to be a bunch of humans, and all the humans you look at don't appear to have any form of the elemental aspects you're used to in humans.
Okay.
So do any of the portraits?
Possibly because they're immigrants.
Do any of the portraits show images of other portraits we've seen in the castle so far? Like one of the rooms had a portrait of obviously a couple, or 2 portraits, one of each of a couple.
All the ones you've seen seem to have the elemental aspects in them. So most of them seem to have a water bend. Whereas everything you look at here, even one of the portraits shows a unfamiliar looking moon. It's the wrong color.
Okay.
It's a very whitish colour, whereas the one you're used to is not white.
Okay.
Well, I think we'd already had indications that these people, in fact, in this castle, had come from another world, hadn't we? In the library, they're talking about lands that we'd never heard of, and
Yeah.
there could be
very much so.
these Francians we were talking about.
yeah,
And everything you look at here gives you the impression of here's what they were before they came through the portal.
right.
And portal travel can change people.
Yeah. So does it look like? Well, I'll look more closely at the images and see if I can detect that. Oh yes, hang on. I can see potential resemblance to other pictures we've seen of after their arrival.
And investigate roll.
Oh yeah, that looks like he has a lion's mane just about to sprout out of back of him.
So Jeremy, an investigate roll.
Investigation.
Yep.
Ooh, there we go. 18, 24.
24. Having a good look at it, you can identify Richard, the lion-headed, as he looked before he arrived on this world. You think the entire family migrated,
Yeah.
and the
That was
members,
what I was
the
thinking.
members of this actual family that are currently living were not born on this world,
Yes.
which is
All outsiders.
which is unusual, because there are quite a few people who have migrated so far in the past that they are considered natives. This is the first
But
you've seen of people who were changed by their travel, but are actually non-native.
yeah.
Actually,
One-
meeting a non-native who's living here is very rare.
Yes. I'm going to assume their method of travel is what's changed them so much.
Or their time here in the accursed demi-plane.
Well, you
Method
also
of travel. Yes.
know that anything that portals to this world has to abide by the rules of this world.
Yeah.
As the gods dictated. So, for them to actually get here, they have to be sponsored by a god.
Yes, because otherwise they just wouldn't have been allowed to turn up.
And evil gods could have been the ones who sponsored them, as well as the good gods. So,
Oh yeah, because
it's,
hey, spreading chaos is a thing,
Um,
even for evil gods. But,
looking at the portraits,
yep.
is there any indication as to how big this family might be? Like, is there? You said there were many portraits there, but are we talking many portraits of only half a dozen people, or many portraits portraying hundreds of people?
Well, you're seeing portraits showing about a key 20-odd people, with
20 odd? Okay.
a smattering of other people in the portraits, not as a focal point. So if you got an equivalent of someone getting armor on, you will see that there are people assisting them, but there's not enough detail of those people for them to actually be identifiable.
Yeah. No, they can
So
go.
there is roughly 14 to 20 identifiable people. The reason I say 14 to 20 is some of them could be them at a younger point in their age.
yeah.
Yep.
But none of the portraits on this wall show them after they reach this plane of existence.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this room may well be a useful one if we do get to talk to such people, because whilst the ones we've spoken to seem to have been a bit insane for not really understanding their current situation,
A little bit.
but if we could bring them back here and potentially show them what their past was, that might help understand their present.
Yes.
But otherwise, nothing else of interest in here. We'll look for the next room.
Okay, as you're about to head out, a bearded, probably say a human in his mid-50s, he looks human.
Mm-hmm.
His hair and beard are both black, shot with grey and unkept. And he's dressing in robes that were once finely tailored, but are now ragged and stained with food and ink. His eyes appear icy blue, but he seems to be a bit looking all over the place.
Penadier will deliberately step back into the shadows and allow our illustrious diplomat to take the centre stage.
And your first notice of him is he appears to be answering questions with someone, but talking in a very fast, musical sort of way that you're unused to. And the person he's talking to doesn't appear to be there.
Well, that is the thing.
So, Martin, 20 on stealth to just step back into unobtrusiveness.
Okay, he seems to walk right into the room and sit down at the chair right past people.
Totally ignoring us.
Well, did you speak up? You going to speak up, or you just waiting to see what he did?
I'm waiting to see. I'm not going to interrupt you.
Then he seems to be talking in earnest with someone as if they're standing beside him, and sits down and gestures to his one of his books to someone.
At which point I will wait for a pause in the conversation, at least on his side, and apologise and introduce myself. And I'll do so politely.
Okay,
to
so
present myself well, thereby being persuasion.
I will give you a persuasion roll to see how well you present yourself.
Only 13.
Okay, so
Sucky.
as you step up to, did you do it off advantage? First impressions.
I didn't. Yeah, yes, didn't do it with advantage.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember.
No,
all the different
that's
things.
right. Oh, that's right. The second roll was lower.
Okay, so you present yourself to him in the middle of a pause of conversation while he seems to be listening to your stuff. He sort of looks up at you and go, "Who are you?"
I introduce myself again, and say I'm a visitor to this castle, puzzled by events.
He looks at you and says, "Were you always an elf?"
I look at myself, and then answer yes.
And he looks over at Tidal and goes, "Were you always black and blue?"
Only when beaten severely.
So you're missing the black.
It's a weird day. It's been a weird day.
Well, the day's not over yet, he says.
Tell me about it.
The day's not over yet, he says.
Stop telling me about it.
Sure, if you say so.
Please continue your conversation with my friend.
Oh, okay.
Bloody monks and they're dodging deflection.
Well, I know I'm not very good at conversations, so...
Yeah, that's fair enough. Oh, dear. Yes, just remember I got that one. Seeing he hasn't introduced himself, I'm going to ask him what his name is. Politely.
My name is Guillaume de Amberville, or as people here call me, William Amber. Because they butcher my language. Butcher it, I say, butcher. And he goes off into a ramble to someone who's standing beside you. You look, there's no one there.
Yeah.
In that rather fast language that you're not really too sure about.
Well, I can see why it gets butchered. He's speaking bloody Gaelic, isn't he?
French.
French. Just as worse. Actually, no, it is worse, because French is Latin as spoken by Gauls.
And he's speaking
As
with
against-
the crispness of nobility.
Mm.
Which means if you attempt it and you don't get it right, they look at you as if you're a peasant.
Because you are. Or a foreigner, either of which is just as worse. Or English, which is 3 times as worse.
And then he knows his title and says, "Weren't you black and blue before?"
You've covered that bit.
I did? When did I cover that bit?
Am I not now?
An amount of duration earlier.
You seem to be more blue than black.
We did recover a bit.
Oh. It's a hormonal thing,
You should get someone to look at that.
probably.
He's got an allergy to impacts.
Yes.
So what was your name again?
I introduce myself in full. I introduce him.
Okay,
I
and
introduce Drazzle, who is not there.
once you finish the thing, he asks you, were you always an elf?
No, I used to be an elf.
Used to be an elf. Well, that explains things, he says.
It does. Can you tell us anything about what's going on in this castle and why?
Yes, well, and he starts going into this discussion of when this castle was built with dates that have absolutely no meaning to you. Because they talk about...
Does he get to the why?
No.
Damn.
He goes through the history of the castle in a place called France.
Why are you here?
Well, and he has that whole existential why is anyone here discussion.
Why is your family here, in this place, now?
He looks around. Where are we?
You were in your castle.
My castle's in France.
No, it's not. It's in a different world. It's been transported.
It's gone to England, he says with that shocked look on his face.
I don't think it's that bad.
He looks a little happy about that one. He says, could have been worse. We could have gone down to those Spaniards. They keep trying to pinch the castle piece by piece.
Why would they do that?
Because they're Spaniards, that's what they do. Plus they've got this Inquisition nonsense they're going on about.
Okay. I've got a visualization issue here. What is a Spaniard and what colour is it?
He describes that sounds something very much like the Balkani's elves.
Mm-hmm.
Except not elven.
So just people.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know why you're out of France
I'm out of France? When did that happen?
when you left France.
When did I leave France? Well, I'm in my castle. I can't have left France.
The castle left France.
It didn't go to England, did it?
Yes.
He starts retching.
And no.
Weren't you black and blue before?
Yes.
But you got better.
Okay. We have to ask
Partially.
is exactly the right question or we're getting nowhere.
What do you know of Lionhead?
Well, I know of someone by the name of Richard the Lionhearted.
Tell us.
Apparently he liked to eat lionhearts, I don't know.
That's it? That's all you know about this Richard person?
Apparently. He led this place called England, I don't know why.
Right.
Who would ever want to lead a place called England? It's just crazy.
It's like calling himself Land.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Or Torpenhow Hill,
yes.
which according to the locals doesn't actually mean hill, except it actually does. They just don't pronounce it that way. This is from someone who actually went there and asked them.
Does your relation to Richard the Lionhearted
I read about him in a book.
in a book? Okay. Have you met him in person?
Why would I want to go to England? That's just crazy.
I assume.
England requires you to get on a boat and travel. You have to leave this nice castle. This castle's nice and comfortable. You wouldn't want to leave it.
What terms are you on with this Richard the Lionhearted?
Well, I've got a brother called Richard, and I keep referring to him. He said he'd be better off of being the Lionheart instead of the Lionheaded because it sounded so much better.
Right. So the Richard the Lionheart that we know isn't the one that he's talking about at
Okay.
all.
Okay, it's a different person.
Yeah.
Alright.
So if we refer to Richard the Lion-Headed,
That's his brother.
that's his brother.
Relation. I'd have to look up the entire tree to figure out exactly where he fits in the tree again.
That's right.
Should we be dragging this guy back to Lionhead to figure out stuff?
quite probably. Except if he's as scatty like this with his brother as he is with us, he's not really any use to anyone. Unless we can ask the right question and get the right answer.
I believe Richard is his nephew.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Penadier is going to carefully and quietly aim to walk out the door and then come back in again,
Right.
openly and obviously.
Okay.
And I'm going to metagame slightly and ask, what's the question I should actually be asking? Can I make an insight check?
Sure. Make an insight check. Even though we don't really technically have an insight, we'll just...
No, we do.
We do?
I've got it right there.
Yeah.
It's
I missed it. Okay, so Jeremy, you also get to make an insight check.
Oh, okay.
Because the clansmen have dealt with this sort of thing before.
They're all...
We have? Good. Dice are back to normal. Total of 12 with a plus 7.
Even with your total of 12, you recognise the forms of dementia.
Yeah. So,
Only the most ancient of their shamans have it. They get it around 40 to 50.
wow. Truly ancient. Penadier then will come in with... Greetings, sir. These look like wonderful pictures that you have on the wall here.
Oh, he looks at you. Oh, you like my pictures? This is my family. And what we'll go to what Llewell got. So what did you get on your insight?
They're nuts.
But what did you get total?
Total 7.
With plus 6.
Yes.
Okay. So nuts is pretty much it. So and he gets up and he starts pointing at all the various people and naming them.
Which actually does agree with what Peridot got, except without the detail.
Very much so.
Yes.
I do like people who roll a natural one to come up with their own version of events that don't always equal correctly.
No.
But he's close enough that you can get away with it.
Mm.
So yes, he goes through and explains all the different names of people. And he even identifies 3 pictures of Richard at various points of his life.
Okay.
And how he was destined to be the leader of the clan because France preferred martial over arcane might.
Okay.
But because they found their leader found another way.
What was the other way?
He doesn't remember.
Is it in a book?
Which
Possibly.
leader?
He can't remember him either. He knows he had a leader, but he can't remember what his name was. He looks frustrated.
So, but we're not talking in the family here. We're talking leader of this France.
No, leader of the family. He's sure that the leader of the family is an important person who he can't remember. And he can't even point out who the leader was on the map anyway. Or on the portraits
amongst the
anyway.
portraits.
Maybe he wasn't portraited to...
Or, so, then in that sense, has he actually described and named all the portraits? Is there any portraits he hasn't named?
Okay, looking through them, he seems to have a couple of portraits there he just can't seem to touch or even look at. Every time he looks at it, he just seems to step away from it.
Right, so he's got an aversion, which means it's important. So we'll have a good look at those pictures.
Or a compulsion.
Yeah.
What happens if we try and draw attention to those particular portraits and ask, oh, who's this person?
He gets more distracted and will ask Tidal, wasn't he black and blue before?
No, pink
Right.
and green.
Well,
You have to shut this.
certainly we will aim to steer away from those topics, at least until we've exhausted what we can get out of his coherent mind.
Yes.
And from what you've seen so far, the portrait he can't identify is the only one wearing a crown.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
it's him. Right. wearing a crown.
Yes, have a good look at the face.
So,
Does it look like anyone we know right now?
Yep. It looks like a younger version of Etienne de Amberville.
Right.
As in
Him.
Prince of Glantry.
Prince of Galantry, head of the Great School of Magic.
Right.
Well, it does match what we knew when we came here.
And currently listed on the frame as Stefan Amber.
And as I was about to say, was like looking at family resemblance, despite the fact that the old guy can't describe him or talk about him. There's definitely he is an Amber in that sense. Like he's definitely one of the members of the family.
He is one of the members of the family. The thing that looks different is when you look at him, you can see he doesn't have the water aspect to him that you remember seeing him as an actual person.
Right. So I'll ask him, where is he in the castle? Where's his room?
Okay, so when you point at the thing, he looks at the picture next to it and says, Richard is at any point discusses where we can find Richard the Lady.
Okay. Stefan or Etienne, is he actually on the family plan that we've got?
He's not once mentioned Stefan or Etienne.
No.
Every time you mention that, he talks to one of the other characters.
That's right. We've
So
recognised
he's not
the
gonna be
portrait that he hasn't described as the person we've known
no.
in Glantry.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
And give me an insight roll.
This has got to be better than the last one. It's hard to be worse. That is rather better. It's 20.
So you're thinking with the insanity that you've identified earlier, anything that links, that will mentally link him to Etienne or Stefan, as he's known locally as, is a trigger for his insanity.
Mm.
Right, so we're not going to get anything out of him.
well, not on that particular topic.
But on that topic.
And that he's also trapped in the past, mentally.
Yeah.
So whatever curse has affected him affects his mental state.
Yeah.
Whereas most of them have physical representations as well, he seems to just have a mental degradation.
Yeah.
To help calm him down from any distraction or concern over not remembering the important person or things like that, Pettidier will actually aim to try and get him to tell us about himself.
Yeah.
Recognising that any information will obviously be likely old, back in days he can remember, but work out exactly who he was, and where he fitted into things. And then I'll also be see if we can work out, okay, yep, like the guy we first met in the room, the pugilist chamber.
Yeah.
Who he was, where he fitted.
So, what William tells you roughly is he is one of the elder members of the family.
Yeah.
Having travelled here having travelled much of France with his family looking for a way out.
A way out of France?
Yeah, he doesn't really know what a way out of. All he knows is he was looking for a way out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which means that you're skirting on the edges of what he's not allowed to talk about.
Yep.
And he helped raise most of the family. He also is a spellcaster, so he has trained a lot of the wizards of the family line.
Does he did he mention that was he one of the important members of the family to try and discover the way out?
His opinion was greatly sought because he has an affinity with stone.
Okay.
And the wisdom of the elders should always be respected.
Says one of said elders. It's true, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're like an elder going on 22 now.
Hey, he's almost hitting 30 now.
Yeah, he's well more than halfway through his life. Except, of course, his lifespan out of his environment is probably going to be rather longer as long as he doesn't get killed during an adventure.
Depends on if he goes and retires back to the clans.
If he goes and retires back to the clans, he'll be 65, walk into there and be dead within 2 years. Out here, he gets real medical attention, and he's going to be surprised at some point to discover that he's 60 and still healthy.
How could that happen? That's just crazy talk.
It's being around magic people, that's what does it.
Shamanism.
Actually, you know what would be amusing? This is what metal does to you.
Yeah, that's what he chimes in. Don't touch with that metal healing.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the thing is, this guy looks to be in his mid-50s, so definitely quite the elder. He describes one of his family, Simon Amber, which usually translates to Simon de Amberville.
Yeah.
So you know, they didn't have to work that hard to teach people to say the name properly for that one.
Yeah.
But he is quite the spellcaster.
Mm.
He has black hair, well-trimmed beard, and immaculately groomed.
Yeah.
Though he is a little too religious for his liking.
Yeah, fair enough. That happens.
And he says he follows the one true God.
Atruaghin?
He never could quite get the name out of him, so he's not quite sure.
Maybe.
But apparently he's got his all-knowing, so of course I'm sure it works in wherever we're going.
Of course. Everything's
I'm sure
fine.
he's watching over you here.
And then there's Richard.
And if not, I'll put in a good word with Atruaghin for you.
Yeah.
So then there is Richard Amber, Richard Coed de Lion de Amberville.
Yeah.
And he was to be the great military leader of the family,
Mm-hmm.
except the family didn't want to fight.
Well, still be a great military leader.
Yeah,
The prince's own deserters, only ever seen from behind.
yeah, except he wanted to lead the family into battle.
Wow. If he's on his own, that's easy. So,
But he is known for his fearlessness as well as his prowess in battle.
yeah.
Then there is Nicole Amber, or Colette de Amberville,
Mm-hmm.
because apparently Colette was too hard for people.
That's very sad.
She appears to be a human female in her early 20s, so he describes her as quite young.
Mm-hmm.
And is very soft spoken.
Right.
Okay, and
Persuasive.
her sister Mary Teresa,
Mm-hmm.
or Marie Therese,
Yes.
is the spellcaster of the pair.
Right.
But when their parents died, they've been shunned by most of the family.
Because they're arcanes. Or
You
possibly-
can't remember why their parents died.
Or who ate them.
Then there is
We-
Mary Helen Amber, or Marie Helene, who's in her late 50s. and very brash,
Yeah.
and has little interest in the rest of the family.
That's fair enough.
All their politics are intrigue.
Possibly time for me to go and get persuasive.
Then there is Madeline Amber, who apparently is sleeping a lot in bed.
Well, this is a good environment to nap a lot.
He describes the room with the ogre.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Indisposed.
And
asleep.
Been disposed of.
Asleep. For a very, very
Very-
long time.
There's no time here. It just happens.
And then there is the outsider, Madame Camilla Amber,
Mm-hmm.
married into the family, in her late 40s. More Spanish.
Okay.
And it's her family who keep trying to cart away the castle. Damn them.
They want their own castle that can transport itself around a place.
Well, castle, as far as he knows, doesn't move.
Yes. But
And he's a spellcaster.
according to the Spanish.
They'll try and
By the
steal it
way.
stone by stone.
Mm.
Then there is Little Ape.
Little ape.
Yep, doesn't give you his other name because he doesn't like to say it.
Elvis.
And he's basically...
Like it appears to be, he's avoiding it for personal reasons, or does it appear to be part of the compulsion and the curse?
Well, he seems to find it distasteful
Mm-hmm.
to, say it in French because that just dirties his tongue.
Yep.
He has that look of distaste, not the look of forgetfulness.
Yep.
And he says he dresses like a fool. You'll know him when you see him. Bells and everything. And then there is John Louis Amber, or Jean Louise, the Amber Girl.
Jean-Louis.
John Louise. His hair is dark, long, wavy. He wears a long brim hat,
Mm-hmm.
and he loves sparring verbal negotiations. He will negotiate for passing the salt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit weird.
The descriptions and obviously looking at portraits and stuff like this when he's talking about these sort of people.
Yeah.
Any of them? And I think actually we heard the guy in the pugilist thing did actually introduce himself, I think, from memory, but I can't remember what the name we gave was.
He did. I was going to remind you when we got to him,
Oh, okay, right.
and I believe it was. I think it was John Louise actually. Let me just check to make sure.
Well, the name actually rang bells for me in my head. That's why I thought it might have been him, but
Yeah, it was John Louise. So that was the pugilist guy.
right.
Right.
Oh, that's him.
But he does stick to his agreements,
Mm-hmm.
So
which
that's
is
good
why.
news. It implies that if you do manage to beat his pugilist, he will agree to answer the questions as he stated.
Question. For every 5 rounds.
Yes.
So he is a master swordsman, and he does not recommend dueling with weapons, unless you want to see him be sharper than he is with his words. He's the diplomat of the family.
Yes. I know very, very many diplomats who are very, very good with the swords.
Shouldn't have to be.
Generally, yes.
And then there is Isadora, who translates to Isidore. Apparently the A on the end is just enough to make it English.
Mm-hmm.
And she is another one of the family spellcasters. And apparently she's got a touch of the Fae in her, so they think she's got some Welshness in her, which they say is a curse.
Well, it's not French.
Yeah. Well, it's like that damn Spanish and those damn Welsh.
Yeah.
But so they're referring to the Fae as Welsh.
Yes.
Yeah, or the Welsh is Fae, which is, from their point of view, is fair enough.
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah. There's
from
only,
our character's perspective, it's a case of, well, no, the Fae are Fae.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a bit Fae, because that's what I do. But yeah, the French, the only people from the British Isles, they actually appreciated the Scots.
And
Mainly
then-
because they keep fighting with English.
Yeah, they keep making deals with the French to fight the English. The French love it because it means their fighters don't get killed.
And then there is Isabel Amber, or Isabel the Amber.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the seer of the family. Apparently she doesn't see too well right now.
Because everything is broken.
We did come across a room with a whole heap of
Divination equipment,
Yeah,
clairvoyant stuff, didn't we?
that is her room.
we did.
Yep.
That's her workroom, and we decided not to touch it because it would be weird.
And there is Gaston Amber, the illusionist of the family.
Right.
He's insane.
Given the present circumstances, I'm not entirely surprised.
Well, and privately, Peridy's thinking, yep, and given the source of this information, there's also questions involved.
He loves the moon and basically can't see it anymore.
Yes.
So he's very unhappy.
And he's got no way to do anything about it. Actually, if we need a spellcaster to give us a hand, he's probably going to be the one to ask.
Then there is Claude. He's a bit of a dog.
He's actually a dog.
No, he's a bit of a dog.
He's
He follows people around. He's very puppy-like. And I scratch him behind the ear every now and again to get him to do stuff.
Or a furry in a suit.
From France.
And then there is Charles the Amber. Don't ever call him Charlie. He doesn't like that.
Yeah.
So he's also a spellcaster.
Mm-hmm.
He likes his spells.
Yes. Humanoid dog in a human suit.
And
Well, he's a furry. He's a cosplayer.
and basically he doesn't like noise or light.
That's valid.
So try not to do more than whisper around him or he might attack you. Being like that most of his life.
Right. So, each of these people, where in the castle would we find them?
He starts describing various places of where they used to be in the castle when he remembers.
So that's not a useful question. Okay.
Well,
But when you get near them, I'll say remember this is where the door he said was blah.
Yep.
Was their location.
Okay.
So instead of trying
and
to describe
obviously
all the
also-
different areas.
Yeah, I'm not going for descriptions. Sort of. Okay. The characters know where the people we want to talk to are.
Okay, and then he describes a Catherine.
I'll
and-
even take notes. Because given we've got-
and Peridy's obviously also trying to constantly refer these descriptions to the portraits to at least provide a baseline as to, if we see them, that, oh, that looks like it would fit.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so he doesn't know where she is. She's somewhere,
Okay.
and doesn't know what happened to her or why.
It'd be so useful to have find the path. Although here it'd probably be not working anyway.
Then Anton Amber. And so Anton. Werewolf.
Right. That's
as
not
opposed to the
something-
puppy.
Though more bark than bite.
It's still a werewolf.
And
A
then
werewolf with 1/5 of a bite. He's still a freaking werewolf that's going to hurt.
a werewolf from the old country.
Right. So he hides a lot.
He likes to bite travellers going to England.
No, serves him right. From the way these people talk.
And then there is Andrew David, the Huntsmaster.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to hunt things.
Strange that.
Doesn't matter what it is, he'll hunt it.
What are they?
Is he an amber or is he staff?
He is an amber. Though, he hasn't seen him recently that he can remember.
He's probably outside hunting.
Quite possibly. Maybe he's left the castle to hunt again. He says they're the main members of the family after pointing at all the different portraits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Except for one.
As he gets to the end of the description and talking through, when it looks like it doesn't seem to be any other information that you can tell us directly, Heddy will ask, not pointing at the portrait and stuff, but ask, that, I think we were actually speaking to Jean-Louis downstairs, and he encouraged us to meet and talk with Stephen or Etienne. Is he present?
Well, he says, oh yeah, there is John Louis downstairs, and his room's just down the corridor, he says.
Yeah.
He's just.
And what about Stephen?
He looks, aren't you black and blue normally? He says, looking at Tidal.
Yeah, you've sent him off again.
Well, I said I deliberately waited till the end of the...
Yes, just sent him off again.
Well, but also just to see if the a direct question, a direct reminder of the name might spur something.
See if you can surprise him into it. Unfortunately, I don't think so.
I didn't think so. It wasn't a good chance, but I thought, hey.
No, it's worth a try.
It's consistent enough that you think it is a magical curse.
That's right.
Oh,
Yes,
definitely.
he's not just. It's not just dementia that means that he's not talking about it. It's
Yes, and remove curses beyond me.
And the curse on him is a form of dementia, whereas the curse on Richard the Lion-Headed is
form.
It is his form and temperament.
Yep. So what we need to do is find out what's causing the curse on the family as a whole, and cure it, possibly with violence. Because that's how we do stuff.
well, and then basically yes. As far as credit is concerned,
The place with the flying blades you do recognise as now John Louise's bedroom.
okay.
So the pugilist and fence
Yep.
master.
So again, probably not necessarily one we need to explore because he's been the most talkative so far, or the most willing to talk, as long as we can actually, as long as our monk can do his job.
And that
Monk, go out, monk.
hidden in the fencing chamber is a secret door to Mary Helen's bedroom.
Does he tell us about that?
He does mention that.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
thank you. We'll look that up.
Only accessible if the weapons are dueling.
Oh,
If the weapons are dueling.
Yeah.
So
Gotta
if someone
be
has
at
to
the
duel the
time.
weapons,
I know they have to be dueling each other.
how do you get to duel each other?
It happens on various occasions. Or when she wishes to enter or leave.
which also means you have to get through them to get to the door.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Well, no, because they
they're off
weren't
to the
actually
side.
fighting us at all.
No.
When we first entered, they were dueling. It's just that as soon as we entered, they stopped and challenged instead, I think, from memory.
No, you challenge them.
Did we know why we challenged? Did we have was there an announcement requesting a challenge or anything?
Tidal went up and smacked one, and
Oh,
then,
okay,
then
yes,
it saluted
right.
him. And set
So,
itself
yeah,
up to
stop
fight.
floating around. That's unnatural.
Oh, right. Yep.
And so one of them then put itself away while
Yeah.
Tidal fought.
Yep. I remember that.
And so down the corridor from where you are, currently outside of, making sure I get the names right, outside of William's bedroom,
Yeah.
across the hall is the bath At the end of the room are baths. And the statue at the end is actually a living statue that will attack anyone not dressed in family colours.
Well, that's easy enough to fix. We'll just wear one of the curtains.
That would work, he says. As long as it's one of the amber curtains.
Yeah.
You guys can. I'm going to stand here.
Well, we'll find one piece of actual clothing for you. We know, we know where there's one that's not actually presently being used. It happens to be on a half open, might need cleaning.
But also clothing in like one of the other rooms.
We did actually.
A ton of clothing.
We did.
This was information from William, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Don't wander around without having the appropriate colours on.
Yep, because their family castle is designed to attack intruders.
Well, maybe we should take a secondary look at that pile of clothing.
Or there's been some servants, some actual servants around, hasn't there? As opposed to ghostly ones.
There has.
You've mainly seen ghostly servants.
Mainly.
Yeah, but didn't John Louis have a?
He had
a
constructs.
man with him or something?
He had constructs. So constructed humanoids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What they call Majin.
Yeah. Were they wearing colours?
They were wearing amber clothing. So you might find some in Louis' room if you were willing to fight his swords.
I mean, we can fight the swords if we need to. At least it's not him.
Yeah.
So depending on which bathtub you go into, one's got tentacles and one's got a undead family member.
Sounds like neither of them need to be attended at this stage.
Undead.
At least not until we get some clothes.
Well,
it sounds like
servant.
they misunderstood the value of a bath. One's a graveyard, one's a home to a sea monster. Like, come on, guys.
They only
That's
have
familiar.
they only have a swim at bathe at night.
Master William, where do the servant? Where's the servants' quarters for the
he-
castle?
He points across the and reminds you that there was a big divide opening, which has a room full of mirrors.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that room are all the servant quarters. So all the family are grouped together, and on the other side of that big open space are the servant quarters.
Right.
Perhaps there would be an easier place to find clothes.
He said possibly,
Right.
but you seem to be wearing some at the moment.
Well, yeah, but other ambery
But-
clothes.
But we wish to not appear to be intruders within your fine castle, and
Yeah.
therefore we figured that okay. I expect that your staff wear colours to indicate their association.
Okay, so
Possibly in their quarters we can find some appropriate wear.
Yeah.
well, he tells you where the storage rooms are, where where the family store most of it. So at the end where you found the marble statue, if you then go into the main area, you can then cross over to the servants' wing. So to give Jeremy a perspective, you are currently over here.
Yep.
So the statue you saw was down there,
Yep.
Right.
and if you go into this area over here, this is where they store most of their stuff. This entire
Okay.
section here is the servants' quarters,
Okay.
whereas this section here is the family quarters.
Yep. And I'm assuming that statue you said that would attack people is at the other end of the room, the other end of the building.
It is.
This statue we did see.
It is basically just down the corridor from where you are.
Right. So yes, let's not go that way until we've got clothes.
Favorite.
But you don't actually have to go that way if you go the other way.
That's right. We can go back to the library and back the way we came, because it doesn't look like there's anything further down this end other than a couple of bathrooms. So
Yeah.
So,
I don't necessarily think we're interested in tentacles.
so technically, if you look there, 33 and 32 are both bathrooms, and 31
Okay.
is the statue in question.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
And if you see that big long room there, 33, that's the thing that divides the nobility from the servants' quarters.
Right.
Okay.
or at least most of the nobility from the servants' quarters.
Well, yes. In that case, then I would suggest we go back through the library. Penadir will potentially, now with all the information from William, take another look in the library at some of the maps and things like that, and maybe get a better understanding of what this England and Spain and France is.
Well, they are on good terms with a clan of Scottish mages.
Right.
The McBrennets. Brennart McDougals, I think it is.
Okay.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but
But also that name's not actually doesn't have any connection in Clantree that like the Amber Stefan the Amberville does.
It does. You remember one of the princes is named that.
Right. Okay.
And he has a principality north of Galantry City instead of west of Galantry City, where the Ambervilles do.
Okay, so yeah, obviously then, well, presumably Stephen was probably the one involved with moving the castle significantly. Potentially had brought some Scots with him.
The story goes that you read in the library that the Scots and the Ambervilles both fought over using the portal until the portal got destroyed because they couldn't bring both their families through.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
So only part of each family got through, and since then they've hated each other.
Yeah.
Because they blamed the other side for destroying the portal.
Yeah. But they were working together. Well, I don't know if it actually happened before the fact that they were working together to build the portal initially because they were on friendly terms before they went through the portal.
From what you could gather from reading it, it required both of their best skilled people to do the portal in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But was only ever going to take one family through fully.
Right. And if we ask William about that sort of the process of building a portal and things like that,
he knows they were finding a way out, searching for a way out, but he doesn't know anything more than trying to find a way out.
it comes down to yes, it was a way out which then triggers the dementia.
Mm.
Yep.
Or the person who discovered it and worked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I say, just look at the fact that if William was apparently one of their spellcasters and apparently one of the elders of the family, you would think that, hey, there's a fair chance he was a more powerful spellcaster. But yes, which could quite possibly the reason why if Stephen / Etienne potentially deliberately trapped his family here after bringing the castle through so he could enjoy life in Glantry.
Yeah.
Giving one of the other significant members who supported the development of the portal, potentially William, dementia, would be fitting, I guess.
Especially if he was the lawkeeper of the family.
Yeah. And so so I guess it's not necessarily surprising that that's one of the triggers for. Weren't you black and blue before?
Actually, black and blue. Next time he asks that, say no, it's the lighting. It's actually golden and white.
But then otherwise, after having another look in the library at the maps and getting that better understanding of the history,
which you realise is actually not their library; it is their museum.
Okay. Yep.
It's meant as a. They've specifically put their artifacts in there representing their past.
Yeah.
Not their present.
Is it a place that William likes to pass the time?
From his perspective, he can't tell the difference.
Yes.
But
okay.
you're able to piece together that is where they put all the artifacts they wanted to keep, but not more as a memento than to hold on to as something of importance.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then otherwise, yes, we'll go back past the first statue before and across the divide into the rooms on the other side.
Okay.
Looking at these storerooms.
So, opening up the first one, you find a dusty furniture, rolled up carpets, old rags, some various odds and ends, and a small child-sized casket set upright, leaning against the south wall. A dark wood coffin gleaming, freshly painted with brass handles, and the fittings nice and clean. And a couple of well-folded curtains.
Well, appears to be no clothes that we were looking for. I see no reason to disturb the dead or the curtains. So,
Well, they're lying flat and folded. They're safe.
No, you think that, but
They're lulling him into a false sense of security.
Well, I do know that yes, if you go over there and fling them in the air, they're going to attack you.
or at least attempt to smother you.
so that's how they get you.
By forcing you
right.
to fling them.
You know, by getting
Well, I
too
don't know
close,
about you guys, but
they're-
Pettidier was more looking for something like a tabard to
Oh,
fling over the top of what he's otherwise wearing.
Okay, so you start looking through the room.
We can cut
Well,
up
no,
one of the
as I
curtains.
say, like this does not look to be a clothing store.
No, but we can cut up one of the
Furniture
curtains.
and haberdashery. Not to mention possibly a apparently a child's mortuary. Teddy's intent would be to look in another room because
Okay.
just because he mentioned there's a few storerooms down here, and if we don't find it in the storerooms, then again we can probably find a servant's quarters that might have some a spare tabard in each one.
Yeah.
So, I'd be aiming basically looking at the next door at this stage.
Okay, so looking in the next door down there, because there are two doors on this corridor on the storage side.
William suggested though effectively it was all stores at this end.
Old furniture, brooms, buckets, open box of candles, and other odds and ends in the room. Aside from the mundane objects, it does have a set of pigeonhole shelves with clothing on it that seems to be set for the guardsmen and servants.
Yeah.
You know, the equivalent of one size fits all.
Oh, right.
Well, one size fits servant.
Pretty much, yes. If the servant doesn't fit it, obviously you've got to find another servant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's obviously broken.
So what were they? Sorry.
A set of servant and guardsman clothes. So the guardsman
okay.
clothes make you think that obviously the guardsmen were well fed.
Yep.
And the servants' clothes makes you think obviously the servants were starved.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a
Comparing
big
servants and guardsmen's clothes, is there something that is easily thrown over the top of what we're currently wearing?
guardsman clothes fits easily over your clothes without even needing to be stretched.
Yeah.
Okay. But doesn't
Backpack and all.
Sorry.
Backpack and all.
Right.
You could probably fit 4 servants inside a guardsman.
Right.
That's a big guardsman.
Like I said, one size fits all.
Yes.
Well, I'm not aiming to find something that would be reduce access to or cause us to trip over our feet or things like that.
Well, you can tie it in such a way that it doesn't drape over your feet.
Yeah. So, but basically,
The
yes,
keyword
I
there
would
being
like to effectively do something equivalent to a tabard on like over the top of current garb, so therefore it looks more like we belong.
So you are now covered in amber colours.
That being the idea. Yep.
So while you're looking there, could Stefan give me a perception roll?
Not a curtain.
Okay, next to the curtains, you think the coffin moved.
What room?
The coffin moved.
The coffin
Yeah,
next to the curtain.
yeah. It lid open slightly.
Is there another coffin in this room?
No, in the other room, because you went on. When
Oh,
you,
okay,
when
the
you
other
headed off,
stage. Right.
I thought I would describe the room to the others as you headed off.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Is there a broom nearby?
There is.
I'll poke it with a broom.
Okay, you poke it with a broom. You get stuck.
The broom gets stuck.
Yeah.
Oh. That's unfortunate. Did it move anymore?
So could Llewell give me a perception roll?
Certainly could try. My perception is reasonably good, and that takes it to 25.
Okay. When you turn around, you see that Tidal has poked the coffin in the corner with a broom for some reason.
Oh, what are you doing?
It moved.
And he now seems to be struggling with the broom against the coffin. He seems to be trying to push it over. Or pull it. He's not quite sure yet because it seems to be stuck to the coffin.
What are you doing? Okay, it moved. What are you doing?
Well, if it moved, I want to see if it's going to move again.
So you're holding it down with a broom.
No, I was poking it with the broom and that won't let go of the broom.
So it's now acting.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that bit out.
Well, if you can't get the broom off it, it's obviously holding onto the broom.
I can't see it well enough to determine that.
Can
Oh,
you get
it's
the broom
sticky.
off it?
Not yet.
Right, so it's obviously holding onto the broom.
No, well, I can have the broom then.
The important thing is it is acting on you.
So you drop the broom?
Yeah.
Okay, the broom clatters to the ground as if it wasn't attached to the coffin at all.
Tidal,
Hmm?
have you been eating anything interesting?
No.
Maybe
I've
you
been
should.
feeling really good actually, especially.
I think the Peter is the only one that ate at the feast.
Yeah, I didn't touch that stuff. Made sure not to touch that stuff. But I felt good after the saber fight.
That's true. Sigh.
Will you try poke it with a broom so you can see what happens?
I will pick the broomstick up
Yep. And you poke it?
and I poke it.
Okay, it creaks slightly as you poke it in the side.
But
As
it
you'd
doesn't,
expect a coffin to.
but it doesn't grab onto anything. No. Tidal. Why were you looking like you're fighting with it?
It moved. Wait, what if it's some weird tiny vampire thing from Frontland or wherever these places are called?
It's a variety of mimic, right?
Is it?
I don't know.
So it's a Frenchlandic mimic.
It sounds like a fantastic idea. Let's go with that. So what are you doing?
Hoping it's not actually a mimic.
Yes,
Well.
at you in French.
Yes.
It wasn't until you mentioned it.
Oh, yes, I know.
Well, it sounded like a great idea. I wouldn't really want to disappoint people.
Well, I'm not going to touch it again. It's obviously being stubborn.
Well, he touched it with the broom and even managed to lift the lid slightly, and nothing happened.
And it went creak and clunk.
You know,
I guess one thing you guys should try and think about remembering is, did William describe any kids when he was describing the family?
Yes.
Oh, yes, he did actually. Didn't say any of them were dead, mind you.
Though he did say that somewhere around this area,
There was that person who doesn't like to be talked to.
Anton the werewolf likes to live. He's not exactly sure where. He's a secretive sort.
Yeah.
And there was that person who likes to live in darkness. So I was wondering if it was them, possibly a vampire.
Maybe it's the door to their room. You just gotta go through the coffin.
Maybe. Still, it's rude to grab someone's broom.
Well, rude to grab their broom.
Yeah.
So you grab their broom again? You said you were picking it up and poking it.
Well, I did the first time, not anymore. Because,
Pointed out the rudeness of it.
well, they poked it and nothing happens.
Well, I'm holding the broom. If you want to poke it yourself, fine.
I don't see why there should be a difference in you poking at me poking at the same thing.
True.
You can open it and see what happens.
Thank you. All good.
Or maybe we could just leave the dead alone.
Thank you.
Forcing chocolate orders, how horrible.
Evil, evil.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it moved, but okay. We'll leave it alone.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Jeremy, while you're going through getting your tablet set up, you do get a whiff of sulfur while you're doing so.
Okay. But there's no evidence of any sulfur in the room, is there?
No evidence of
demons?
sulfur at all.
Okay. I will. Okay, take a look around to see if I can work out where to come from, but more importantly, basically, yes. Grab something that might be suitable attire for Luel and Tidal,
And
since
leave.
apparently they hadn't come through here.
Yep.
Because
Because we're
and
poking some dead kid.
work out and leave the room looking for where they got to.
Okay.
Or a very tolerant mimic.
Give me a perception roll to see how well you look around.
Oh,
A tolerant dead mimic.
19 will make 29, I think.
Don't bring an undead mimic into it.
Okay, so
Yep.
you identify wolf hairs on one of the walls where there's a slight crack, and there's wolf hair on either side of that crack, and the smell of sulfur is coming from there.
I will point this
And
out
what
to the others.
this is what Prey Deer found in the other room,
Oh, okay.
and the smell of sulfur is coming from that room,
Right.
as well as the sound of heavy breathing.
And
Where's the sound
Yeah.
coming from?
The other room.
this is all stuff that Parody is seeing and hearing, not you, or
Yep.
hearing and smelling, not you.
And
Okay.
this room is between you and the other characters.
Right,
So
okay.
it appears to be a secret room between the two storerooms,
That's got heavy breathing in it.
and and a lot of wolf hairs.
Yes. I will back away from the location.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, well, not much point hanging here anymore. I think it's time to go.
And then
Yeah.
you walk into the other room and you see Lowell holding a broom, discussing poking a casket with a broom.
So, wasting time, right?
Well, okay, well, Parody will come back and poke his head in there, see what's happening, and say, I think I found the lycanthrope.
Okay.
And you notice that there's another one of those doors you notice on the other side in this room as well.
Ah,
Identical door even.
right. Do I notice wolf hairs coming from the door where I'm standing?
Yes, there's the same wolf hairs that seem to look
okay.
like it scraped along the wall to get into the door.
So,
So- He left traces on each around the door frame.
both doors are either exits or both.
Yep.
Or he
Okay.
travels by moving door.
Yes.
Or he's the door.
Guys,
Yes.
you might want to come
So
this way.
we're
I don't think there's anything more what you're looking for in here.
Could be worse. No,
Where
no.
portal mimic wolf thing vampire
Lich.
lich. Yeah.
Triple.
He's just triple threat. He likes to bite you and stick to you at the same time. And if it's a full moon, worse for you.
Yeah, he sticks to you in puns.
As I say, if the other two do at least head towards the door back where I am, I'll encourage them to step outside and close the door and
Yeah.
say, look, well, I found you some potential clothing that should mitigate some of the denizens of the castle,
Yeah.
but also,
Oh, good.
I don't know if you noticed it, but remember William talked about one of his family members that had turned into a werewolf?
You found him.
I think he's just on the other side of the wall in there.
So you found him and he's really close.
Yes.
How exciting. Let's
So-
be somewhere else, shall we?
That's right. Preferably having
will-
a bright light each.
We will go away, and then you'll put the clothes on,
Okay.
rather than the other way around.
That is fair. Okay. So yes, you've dressed yourself in the main area.
Yeah.
And you want to start heading through what they call the servants area.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Probably. Well, actually, no. The nobles area will probably be quieter because there'll be less people in it.
but okay, the servants area, it's potentially worth having an explore, but I think we're going to get less answers.
Yeah.
Although, if the curse has been aimed at members of the family, some of the servants may not have been affected.
Very true.
Like in the
It's
case that
actually a really
it
good-
seems that it was certainly aimed at William and Richard.
Though you,
Potentially, the servants may not have been considered worthy of being aimed. So,
from last session, you do know that even though you weren't targets of the curse, you were affected by it. So if you don't have your aura up, everyone outside of your aura is affected by the curse.
right.
We end up going nuts.
And admittedly, based upon the experience in the at the feast, it appears most of the servants are dead. Potentially, we can have an explore at least of a few just to see what we're looking at. But
Yeah.
we may, if nothing else, we may find clothing that fits a bit better.
True. Or all.
Okay, heading in. Just so Stefan feels great, the name of the room is called O Sheet.
What?
O, SHEET exclamation mark.
Okay.
Each room has a different name, but that one's called O Sheet.
Because it's got sheets of something and it's no shit room.
But it's okay,
It's
because they're not
all-
curtains.
It's all curtains.
I'm sure there's draperies involved.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, not
That's
going
why
in
that's
there.
why I thought you'd find the name of that one just interesting.
Not going in there.
A
Not
bedroom in
going
poor condition is situated here. It's a canopy bed with open curtains
in there.
fluttering against the east wall.
Yep.
A closed wardrobe and a disorganized dressing table with a chair rests by the north wall, a fireplace in the northwestern corner. Old oil paintings depicting landscapes that you do not recognize hang above the room.
Mm-hmm.
A form of a sleeper lies beneath the canopy of the bed, oblivious to the surroundings. Oh, this would be your worst nightmare. Literally.
Mine.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, not
Your
good.
character's worst nightmare.
Not
Okay.
good.
It
Not
has
good.
something called a sheet phantom. And something called a sheet ghoul.
So
Yeah.
actual attacking curtains.
Actually,
attacking-
Validating every single phobia you have.
But worse because they're both undead. Undead sheets.
At least my attacks are magical. So I can hit them.
Yes.
But that would mean I'd have to throw all my anger and hatred into that.
And actually touch them physically.
Yeah.
You're just going to turn into a mad ripping monster, aren't you?
Probably.
It's like, there's a sheet! Attack it!
There will be feathers and everything everywhere. Like, you'll find nothing here.
Don't worry, there's a linen closet nearby as well. That was the other door that they could have reached at the same time.
Don't worry, I'll work my way through that later.
There's a linen here!
It's a tablecloth. It's a potential curtain. Kill it.
Well, from Benedict's perspective,
It's a handkerchief. It's a child's curtain.
there's nothing in the room actually to talk to.
But there is a form on the
But he
bed.
will go in and check
Hold
the
on.
closet.
There's somebody on the bed.
Oh, true, there was a sleep, wasn't there?
There was a
You
sleeper
just
on the
mentioned
bed.
it, Yes.
So I metagamed and told people what it was because I thought I would help Stefan trigger his phobia again.
Prepare his panic attacks.
Yeah. Well, if you're prepared for the panic attack, then the panic attack is easier to prepare for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well-
like 17 on a willpower save.
So the Benedict actually, so remembering there's actually a sleeper in the room, Pedadier's intent would be, well, is it worth waking sleeping servants?
It looks like a guest room.
So it's a guest rather than servants.
Just to help you with your phobia.
Oh, that's awesome. That's terrifyingly awesome.
That's a picture used for similar to the picture used for lurkers.
But it's specifically done as a sheet.
Yes.
That's great. I'm gonna tweet that up. Just on principle.
You're going to feed it to itself by the corners.
Well, Pedadier will quietly talk to the others and says, well, do we wish to wake this person?
Oh, you know what I could do? I could pull down the curtains and full speed it the curtains. Like, eat the curtains!
Yes, good.
Do we wish to wake this person? Rule, title?
I think yes.
Yes?
Yes.
In which case then, Pedadier will go for the polite option
Both with a broom.
of knocking loudly on the door frame, saying, apologies for disturbing your sleep. Could you help us, please?
Okay, so
We wish to use your bed. I think I'm actually going to switch armors.
So while you knock on the door frame, you see the form on the bed roll over and then continue snoring.
Great.
Rude.
I will try and knock louder and call a bit louder.
You hear a strange groan coming from the bed, and whatever it is seems to pull a pillow over it.
Right.
They seem to be intentionally ignoring you.
That's rude.
Apparently, they're not interested in discussing at the moment.
You may have there may be one of those people that sleeps until mid morning.
Could be. I would.
Right.
That's why we should have brought that broom along.
Hey, considering mid morning hasn't been reached yet.
I was going to say,
True.
it's not like there's anything going to happen
Why?
for the day anyway, so... I don't necessarily see the need to disturb this gentleman's rest any further unless we can find no one else to talk to.
Yeah, true. We'll go off and do a thing.
Do you know who they are?
Well, it wasn't an area, like I say, it wasn't a location that was described by William, I would assume, because apparently this is in the servants' quarters. So.
He described it as the guest room supported by the servants.
Yeah.
Right. But he didn't describe whether they had any guests at that moment?
No, he didn't describe any guests, but he doesn't believe they had any guests staying with them in France.
Right.
That's weird.
Except possibly the Scotsman.
Though we can't remember any Scotsmen they were dealing with because of similar problems.
Right. Now.
Is there a broom in the room?
No, there was no broom, but you left one in the closet. You can go back and get it.
Yeah, but there was that weird howling and fur and stuff back there.
Hey, I'm sure you can join them. It only takes a quick play.
I'll pass on that, thank you. Is there a bucket in this room?
Is there a reason you want to really wake him up?
Yes, they're being rude.
So are you by waking you up.
We're stuck in this place until we can find someone who can tell us what the hell to do. So waking them up's going to get us out. I see
Yeah,
no reason not to.
Oh, I think it's entirely valid.
Okay, so looking around, no, there is no bucket here. This person obviously does not pee anywhere nearby.
Is there anything?
Well, there's probably a chamber pot underneath the bed.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Is there anything on the like? Is there a dresser? Or
There is a dresser.
What's on the dresser?
A shamble of stuff. You want to go over and have a look?
A shamble.
Yeah, basically, it's just stuff.
A
scattered
whole
all
heap of
over
stuff sitting there, but not disorganised, I'm guessing.
Okay, I'll look through the shamble.
it. Okay, give me a perception roll.
A shambler steps out of it. That should be.
9.
Okay, you find something written in that France language,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this red glowing liquid.
Red glowing liquid.
Yeah.
Is it in like a vial or?
Well, it's got a little spray thing on it.
Okay. Well, I don't trust any liquids in this weird place, so I'm gonna sniff it.
You spray and sniff.
No, just sniff it.
Okay. It doesn't even smell. It mustn't have been sprayed recently.
That's a 20 to throw at the guy sleeping.
Okay. This is shattering effect as you pelt it right at the person's head. Natural 20, wasn't it? Or
No,
dirty
it was a not dirty 20.
Okay, so yes, you hit him and it shatters on him, and it burns, it burns.
Excellent.
You can see smoke coming up from him.
Oh, well, that's all.
As you see him go, hit him with something that's burning his face.
Probably a good thing you didn't spray it to sniff it.
He's awake now, so, you know, ask no questions.
Yeah, mate.
Well,
I think you can get occupied.
And he's having trouble talking as his tongue seems to be melting.
So while he's
Can
screaming,
we see who he is, what he is? Is he
Hard
come
to,
out from under the sheet?
hard to tell with the draperies around him and the fact that he's
Can-
converting and smoke pouring off his face.
I can put him out if you want.
please.
Alright, I'll use Water Whip to put him out.
Okay, give me a attack roll.
You smack him around the face with your water fist.
That's
Yes. I rescue the piece of paper with stuff written on it and read it.
14?
Which piece of paper?
The one with
The one with the French stuff
Oh,
on.
that was
stuff
a
on.
label on the bottle,
Oh,
which he threw.
So you might have to go over to the bed to collect it if you want to read it.
So what did you get?
14.
14. Okay, now it does damage, I believe, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does.
Do your damage.
you're going to kill him, aren't you?
Kennedy is standing by with his Makatool ready, but confused at the questioning technique of someone who is apparently soundly sleeping.
Are you going to call minimum damage on that?
So what did you
before
get?
roll?
Bit late, isn't it?
What did you get?
Plus it's a spell, you can't call minimum damage on spells.
Oh, true, on a
I
spell.
got 12. Damage.
Okay, so he throws this bottle. There's just smoke and bubbling coming up from this guy's face, bubbling noises. Then he throws a water whip at the guy and yanks, and is next thing you know he's holding the guy's head.
You murderer!
I don't believe he's awake anymore.
You
Or in much of a fixate for questioning.
vicious killer!
You can still ask him questions!
I'm not going to get any fucking answers, am I?
It's got like a minute to live.
He can't answer.
Yeah, as you're
He
holding it
needs-
up, you watch his tongue and most of his face just slide off onto the ground.
Oh.
He needs lungs to answer.
As the sizzling sound coming from the floor hit.
That's all good. Use your warlocky necromancy stuff to help fix this.
I'm not a necromancer.
You're that kind of warlock.
No, I'm not. The other one was.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
You all look the same to me.
He was the one who glowed black, and he sizzled every time I got near him.
I've seen beautiful little warlocks casting evil spells before.
Yes, but I'm the beautiful little warlock that casts nice spells. Well,
He's the
that's
Disney warlock.
Okay.
Yes. Which is why about half of my spell casting has been a healing effect that's got sparkles and bloody petals coming off it.
Right. Well, can you fix this guy with petals?
I have a feeling that
No.
even were you to fix him, he may not be all that talkative.
He would be annoyed enough not to want to get resurrected by us.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just kind of put the head back.
So you walk over to the bed to put it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch out for puddles on the floor.
Or more importantly, curtains.
Yes. I'm going to see if I can find a piece of bottle with a label on it and read the label.
Okay, so do you try to beat? Okay, give me initiative. See who makes it to the bed first.
Or whatever he's doing, I'll wait till he's done.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. In which case, then Title makes it to the bed first. Just
I
in
guess
time.
Petty will start looking at the wardrobe to see if
No,
there's
hold on,
actually
hold
a set
on,
of
hold on.
clothes that are more suitable to
No,
wear.
no, there was a just in time in there.
Just in time for the sheep phantom to have its action, because it's indistinguishable from draperies until it acts. So the false appearance ability of the sheet phantom is while the sheet phantom remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a normal piece of fabric, just like every other curtain you've been attacked by in the past.
So he's going to spend the entire combat yelling, "Vindicated! Vindicated! I was right!"
So, as you reach between the curtains to put the melting head back with the rest of the body,
Yeah.
what's your armor class?
Top of my head, it's 15.
Okay, and the fact that you rolled a 15 was fantastic.
Yep.
So, and it rolls minimum damage too, so it does 4 points of bludgeoning damage on its first attack. And then it does 8 points of bludgeoning damage on its second attack.
So that's 12.
So, I mentioned Penedier was going to go to the wardrobe to have a look to see if there were any clothes in there that are more fitting, and he turns around and discovers that once again, Tidal managed to get himself caught up in a sheet.
And because both attacks hit, he's now enveloped by the sheet.
So
So
caught
it
up
looks
in a
like
sheet again.
Looks like he's gone and tangled himself up in the sheet again, as far as everyone else knows.
And he's making strangling noises.
Like always.
So am I now grappled?
You are now grappled by the sheet.
Great.
Don't worry, I'm sure it won't suck too much of your life away.
Yeah.
He can always manage to lose a fight against the curtain.
Don't worry, I'll just yell.
He's going to work at that.
You know, attempt to communicate.
Well,
my-
you're
as you do.
grappled, not muffled.
Oh, right, okay. Well, then
The
I'll yell,
sheets are
I'll yell the curtain is attacking me.
Penedier will
That's
go
normal.
over and aim
And I'll also
to
yell that this guy's a curtain necromancer.
extract him from the curtain, cut him out, whatever
And all these
whatever
curtain
he
sheets
is.
will die.
Okay, so.
We try and help unwrap him.
Goddamn sheep warlocks.
Well, first thing, I'll give Tidal a escape roll.
Escape roll.
He's broken me for the first round of combat. He's mentioned a sheet warlock.
That's a 19.
That's a 19. Okay, you slip between the sheets, which means you get out.
Yes.
So, okay, so you mean, for the first time ever, he's come across an actual animated sheet, and he was able to escape from that one. He can't
Yeah,
escape
I know,
from
right?
the inanimate objects.
But never mind an inanimate sheet that makes me fall 3 floors and causes my
Yes, but
phobia in the first place.
This must be a weaker one than the one you fought earlier.
No, apparently.
Okay.
You've learned.
you out-leveled them.
You can see its fabric eyes staring at you as its mouth is mouthing your name.
Here's the thing, if you do beat this, you never need fear a curtain again.
I don't know, there's one thing that could possibly make me still fear curtains.
Lurkers.
No, if my arch nemesis uses this ability. I hate that thing. He's a wisp, so he can possess a curtain and then I can fight a curtain wisp.
Which
So,
would be
okay,
worse
so
than this
as we start to head over there to resignedly extract Tidal from the curtain once again,
Yes, because from our point of view, he's just wrapped himself in a curtain.
again, okay,
And as you walk over, you just watch the curtain he was fighting with just fade away.
What did you do to that curtain?
It attacked me, I didn't do anything to it.
And you hear a voice in your sleep go, "And you sleep next, I will come."
Why
Whereas-
is this talking to me? Did you hear that?
as soon as Tidal mentions that the curtain attacked me, Penedier is going to go back to the head back to the closet to look for clothes.
Okay.
Because this is all normal behaviour.
Absolutely.
Sure.
The only variation was on this occasion, Tidal did not need help to get himself unextracted from
Yes.
an inanimate curtain.
The next
Oh,
time I
and-
sleep here, if I ever sleep, this thing's going to attack me. So.
Right.
Well, the sheet was just there and it's now gone. Like,
It faded
how is that
away.
not weird to you?
This whole castle is weird.
How often have sheets and curtains disappeared like that?
How often do you step on a curtain and kill an ogre?
Every day.
Fine.
Why makes him disappear like that?
Yeah. At least he didn't make it disappear the way he did the one in the castle.
Yes.
Okay.
He made the castle disappear too.
Yeah, I know.
It probably just dissolved in the acid that you threw onto the bed.
There's that.
Yeah, but that caught fire-ish kind of smoke thing.
It smoked a bit.
I got the
Yes.
impression it was more. He's saying it burns and the smoke was more acidic.
Yes.
Who the hell puts a vial of acid on their desk anyway?
Alchemists.
Or sheet warlocks?
There's no such thing.
And now
So-
have to create one.
Are there any clothes in the closet?
Opening up the closet, there's no clothes, but there is a strong box
A lurker
with what looks like a rusty lock.
a lurker with warlock levels. A literal sheet warlock.
Yeah, well, it's better you will take a look at the lock and the box then.
It looks extremely rusty.
Okay.
Which means to be packed with the elder gods.
Perception of 20 to look for tracks,
Yeah, I'll have a look around as well.
Okay, cool.
and then
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah, I almost
you will
need something useful. 16.
attempt first of all to pick the lock if it can actually open the door, or otherwise he'll just go for breaking the rusty lock off. Attempt to pick it. Where are we? Thieves tools 12, 26.
Okay. Apparently, even if you think if you rolled a 1, you'd still open it with your thieves tool.
Right.
A critical failure for you is it takes you an extra round to open on that roll.
Well,
It's
like I
that
said,
bad.
the alternative is going to be, put a small
This is
lever in there and just twist it to break the lock. But
I do remember reading about someone who had problem with the lock, not because it was hard, because it was so big and clunky he couldn't use lockpicks on it. He needed a knife tip.
Okay, so you find the writing that was on the bottle.
Yes.
Writing seems the pieces of the bottle seem undamaged. None of the fabric seems to have been burned.
So it only worked on people.
And you have an ability to read. You can read any language.
Yes.
And basically, it is perfume of healing.
for a given
Someone's
definition
got-
of healing.
Someone's got a weird way of naming things. Or they're a really bad alchemist.
I know you think it even has the smell of a healing potion.
Just on this guy, it was horrible.
Insight roll.
He was undead,
Yes.
and he got hit with a healing potion,
In the face.
and his face melted off.
Yes, remember, in the metagame description of this room, it was
Yeah.
called a sheet ghoul.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I made him feel alive again for the 10 seconds his face was on fire.
Before you ripped his head off. Okay, so Jeremy, with that you
And
click
then
open the
glared at
box,
him until his face
Yep.
melted.
and inside you find lots of silver and gold.
Okay, I take that back. I take back the thing about you being a murderer. He
There's-
was already dead.
There's over 1,500 coins.
Oh. So
Yeah.
tempt.
You guys think value of this metal stuff, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Come on, we can turn it into booze for you.
I'm currently systematically tearing up sheets and curtains with my sword.
Okay.
Well, that's right,
I'm
yes.
going to nick one of the curtains before he gets to it.
Penalty was mainly
And
talking
use it
to
to
Lou
tie
Ollie,
the
figured
coins
that
in the
yes, title was off with the curtains.
They're standard gold coins, aren't they?
No, that looking at them, these seem to be the equivalent of well, you don't recognise the setting, but they've
Yeah.
got this guy with a crown on its side profile,
Standard sort of thing.
but doesn't seem to equate to anything you want. It's got King of England on the side, from the back.
Weight of metal is still valuable. You know, they're foreign coins. Someone will accept them.
And the silver ones seem to be Queen of England.
I don't care.
So you,
They're gold and they're silver.
you managed to get the King and the Queen set.
Cool.
Well,
And if-
so
if we-
I
if
will
we
let
can get the- if we-
I will let
sorry.
Lou deal with the metal coins.
Yes, if we can get the jack as well as the king and queen, we'll have an adultery. Now.
I was more looking for the knights and the bishops.
Also an adultery. Yeah.
Well, you
or,
know,
or just a good time.
you know there is the full floating around.
Yes, that's right. Doesn't matter. I bag the coins up in one of the sheets.
Isn't there about? I thought you were going to say I bags the full.
Yeah.
Have you got a
actually-
bag?
What?
Have you got a bag to put them all in?
Yes, I just did. I made it out of a sheet. I just put them in a sheet and tied the top together.
Well, so someone's cut up some nice strips of sheet for you to make it easier.
There we go.
Why not
I'll
just,
use one of the
why
white
not just
sheets.
put the whole box in your bag?
I thought it was loose. If it's in a box,
It's in a box, yeah.
how big's the box?
It's in the bottom of a cupboard.
Okay.
It's a little strong box.
Cool. Take that. Strongbox itself is worth money and is worthwhile putting stuff in. We'll keep our things that we want to keep safe in it.
Made out of strange wood you've never touched before. For you, that's an interesting idea.
It is. It's actually worthwhile researching the wood once I get somewhere.
Doesn't smell right though. Different sort of wood smell. Might be the varnish on it.
Might be the varnish. It's not made of teak or camphor or something like that, is it?
You don't recognise the wood. You don't think it's made from something in this region.
Well, it won't be in this region. Come on, this place is weird.
Yes, but you've been
If it
after
was- if it
most
was
of the
from-
wood you've seen, you can identify.
Yes, but if it's from trees on Mars, I wouldn't be at all surprised. Well, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be a little surprised.
Maybe they're moon trees.
Maybe.
Because your research does say that there are trees on the moon.
Yes.
The second moon, at least.
One of the moons, yeah. So, if I would, if once we get to where there's somewhere where we can turn this into money, how much money does this turn into?
It turns into quite a lot of money, actually. So the air sheet room will give you 1,000 silver pieces and 750 gold.
And a head.
Now you
I'm
gave
not
that, you
taking
put that
the
back,
head.
remember?
You put that back and we're not keeping it.
Well, would you really call it a head? It's more of a skull with hair.
Yeah, that's true.
It is now anyway.
And apparently it's all wet with acid, or the equivalent, for him.
I just thought it was amazing that he picks up the perfume and throws it, and it turns out to be the equivalent of a healing.
It turns out to be the absolute best thing you can do in the circumstances.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentional. It was literally I was looking for something to throw at this guy to wake him up. Okay.
Yeah. As we're leaving,
I think that probably
I'll mention
is one of the quickest resolutions of this room that this game has ever had.
What do I do? I
Oh,
throw
no.
the perfume off.
if you count
Before
from the
the fight
time we opened the door, there was a lot of lead up involved.
There
Well,
was
there
a
was
little
a lot of lead up,
Yeah,
and it
and
was, I need to wake him up. Rather than poke him in the shoulder, which one would normally do, is I will get a heavy glass object and throw it in his nut.
Well, only after I couldn't find a broom to poke him with.
Well,
The
yes.
broom was being hugged by a werewolf, and I'm not going to grab that. So yeah, I'm using something else.
Maybe a vampire instead.
Maybe a vampire.
A vampire, a werewolf vampire crossbreed?
Yes, exactly.
But yes,
Or a
Kennedy
vampire,
will ask.
vampire hybrid.
And while
They're
his
very
head was on
salty and-
fire, I tried to
Yes.
put him out with the worst method possible.
And it turned out to be the absolute best.
Well, I was expecting all of him
Of
to
course,
come with
the end
knots
result
to
was-
the head.
Yes,
You woke someone to question them and killed them instead.
yes. Yes,
So you didn't get any questions out of them.
Yes, it reminds me of one fight I GM'd where someone decided they were going to grapple the Lich on the premise that the Lich wasn't going to get very many licks in that way. And two people stood over him with healing wands going, I hit him, it doesn't matter which one I hit, I'm just going to hit. 'Cause this was 3.0, so you had a good chance of, you had a 50% chance of hitting either person in the combat.
In a grapple.
And they went,
Yep.
wands of healing, it doesn't matter which one.
Positive energy, positive energy, positive energy.
My beautiful Lich died in 5 rounds.
It was a beautiful death. You have to say, it was a beautiful death.
It was.
And a cunning technique.
Yes.
Just think, perfumes are dangerous here.
Yeah.
That's your takeaway.
Yes. Yes. Although, well, I've got a perk.
These Francians make explosive perfumes. You gotta watch for that.
Yes. Yes. I really should. We really should actually use this potion that I've got. I want to use it.
Which
So
one?
do. Oh, the potion of fire breath.
Oh, You know, next sleeping person we can see, you can use that one.
Yeah.
He sees you. You're
No,
decent.
And Nicole.
Unless you're saying you're indecent.
I.
Given what he just did, yes.
Okay, so you're indecent, you don't count. Okay.
I've read his books.
Yeah, I cannot deny that one.
Yeah, that is bad. Okay, so moving a bit further down, you come you come to what your guide had called the seance room.
Okay.
Okay.
This was once Isabel Amber's most used room of the place,
Mm-hmm.
where she talks to the dead.
She was
Through
the
spooky music.
She was one of the.
she was the diviner, wasn't she?
She was divine as well as divining.
Yep.
Yep.
She's probably good looking too.
Yep, she didn't need glasses at all, but instead on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Okay, so dark hangings drape across the walls of this room.
Mm-hmm.
The floor is blanketed in carpet so blue to be almost black. A single unlit lamp hangs from the ceiling directly above a circular table in the center of the room, surrounded by draperies. The table is covered up in a black table drop cloth
More draperies.
and surrounded by 13 chairs, each with a sheet draped over them.
What's your strength?
A black crystal the size of a human head rests atop of a table on a wooden stand near the largest of those chairs.
Brady, what's your strength?
Better dear.
Brady?
Not huge.
Okay. I don't think anyone's got positive strength.
Oh,
You're the strongest person.
You are.
Oh, shit.
Benedict's got a strength of 10.
You're Mr. Muscles. You've got more bonuses than the rest of the party combined.
The only time you weren't the strongest person in the party, we had Paladin.
Well, I failed my will check.
Or when Draggle's around. He's probably strong.
So I'm running in there and going in the curtains. Oh!
Okay, so nothing unusual happens.
Yeah, because that's what he does.
Yeah, okay. So normality resumes as the title lunges in attacks curtains.
Yes, apparently the last room in with the actual monster as a sheet, he unusually kept his cool. Apparently he knew his enemy. This time he wasn't so sure, so he's just gone in nuts.
Well,
It might be another one, you don't know.
So as he fights as he's fighting all the sheets and curtains, they all seem to rise up against him as he's striking and beating and creating a whirlwind of light and noise. As the rest of you just stare on in amusement as Tidal pretty much goes berserk.
oh no, I'm being wafted at by curtains, he says, waving a double-ended broom.
So you get the bonuses of rage while you're
Wow. Awesome and terrifying at the same time. Very specific rage talent. Only can rage at curtains. Okay.
as he seems to be getting stronger and stronger, the more curtains he rips apart.
Does he actually change class into a berserker when he's doing this?
Pretty much, yes.
That's fascinating and terrifying.
Yes. All rage, no skill.
Yes.
You rip into him.
The years of meditation gone.
Strap-on claws, that's how to do these.
And while he's doing that, the two of you can make a perception roll.
16.
I'm just watching normality apparently. I got a 4 for a total of not 14.
Taking
Okay.
notes.
Both of you actually notice this, even though Tidal is too enraged to notice. But above the middle of the room, you can see a translucent figure resembling a figure draped in a cloak, manifesting in the air above the center of the
Far
room.
away.
Well, center of the room. Just watching Tidal run around, and you can see its head moving around, watching him, destroying all. It sort of has a hand partly raised as he's going around doing all this.
Hi there! Greetings! Don't worry about a friend.
And I'll give
Can we
you
talk?
a persuasion check.
It'd be worse if I was wearing like servant's quarters attire. It's like, "Here, I'm just changing the sheets."
Well, we are wearing amber.
You are wearing guardsman attire at the moment.
That's right. Keeping
Yes.
you safe.
Yes, 19.
19. It stops and then looks at you. You get this feeling of a bit a bewildered expression, even though you can't see your face at all. But you know it's bewildered right now. Apparently it was going to say something, but it got interrupted.
Yes,
Well-
and then I interrupted again.
No, it still doesn't know what to say because what it was going to say, it got interrupted so badly, it's completely thrown.
You have broken a ghost.
Well, the previous one tried to break me, so it's even now.
Okay, so as you do that, it tries to float down into Tidal to tell you something, except unfortunately Tidal is currently berserk, so it bounces out every time it tries.
Wait, it's trying to bounce on me? What?
It's trying to possess you.
But apparently you're berserk
And
at the moment.
you're doing berserkering and your brain isn't receptive to that right now.
And so it's like it's hitting the wall each time, and it just doesn't even notice.
It's like a terrible Scooby-Doo episode.
It's attacking you in the brain, but it's too small to target right now.
See the check minds and compute. Yep.
Yes.
And it doesn't compute that it can't possess you, so it's going...
You do not need to possess him. We can talk without.
It seems to be trying to talk to you, but it can't get a voice out. It's got no
Does
mouth.
does Penadere with the spiritologist secret
know-
craft,
You know this stuff.
does that have some capability to speak to spirits more easily?
Okay, give me a craft check.
Because I don't know any spells that are good for this. Because it turns out that warlocks are really good at being artillery pieces.
Yeah, +7. 19.
Okay, you recognize this as a summoning circle, even though it is a little more refined than you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And the orb on the table is the connection. So normally the person who summons a creature using the orb allows the creature into them to talk to everyone.
Yep.
Okay.
As the price for summoning the creature.
It
And
gets to be inhabit someone for a time. We don't know what the price is beyond that, though.
And basically, whatever thing has happened here has left the creature half summoned but not paid for and not completed.
okay. Do I think that if I break the circle, that can
You might just
release the spirit?
You might
And
let it
or if I
loose.
release the spirit, is it going to release fully into this world or release it back to its own plane?
Well, you'd think that destroying the orb, which is the circle itself,
Okay, yeah.
so circle
would
within a circle,
unbind it.
would release it because it's not because this thing doesn't bring a ghost here fully.
Yeah.
It should release it at that point.
It should go away then.
But because
Okay.
you're not exactly in the real world,
It's
it's dicey.
it's
I
sort of
will try and attract its attention and say, I'm going to go and smash that crystal. I believe that should let you go.
Okay, at that point it stops trying to possess the enraged Tidal who's still going around the room with anger.
And it appears calm at that concept of being me smashing it.
Well, hard to tell because you can't actually... It seems to be just hovering.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not got a lot of body for body language. The problem
But
is
also
it may be
saying-
going, hi, I'm about to be let free to ravage the place. Woohoo!
Well,
We can't
okay,
know.
but the point being the fact that yes, he's obviously not trying to stop me breaking the sphere,
Yes.
which means that either it means yes, I'm free to ravage the place or free to go home, but it also at least it doesn't mean that hang on, he's worried about me. He doesn't need to stop me doing it on the idea of hang on, I'm going to kill it by
Yes.
doing so. But, so we'll give it a try. So yeah, I'll just go for. Smashing it with the hilt of the sword, effectively. So, like basically, yeah. So, because we're talking a glass sphere, are we, or something?
We are.
Okay.
And as long as you can hit it, you should break it.
I was going to say, or the other one is, I'll try and hit it. If it knocks it off the table and therefore smashes on the floor, that's also an option.
Yep. He headbutts it into the air,
where are we?
lands on a watermelon, and doesn't break.
AC 14.
That's definitely a hit, and it shatters at the base of your sword.
Okay.
And you can hear a sigh as the first sound from the ghost as it vanishes. And so Tidal sees another sheet before him disappear.
That's creepy. There's gonna be two voices saying we're gonna kill you with your sleep.
And you can hear a sigh as you've basically ripped a whole bunch of sheets apart as one of the sheets just disappears. And you come out of your rage. You see sheets just ripped apart all around you. Once you got all the sheets, the last one disappeared on you.
You successfully killed them all.
No, they keep disappearing on me. The last one keeps disappearing on me.
But the other one's all dead.
But yes.
And there are remains of sheets everywhere.
Obviously, one keeps escaping from you, and it's the one that you keep coming across again.
Apparently.
Yes, he sees one disappear, stands in the middle and goes, oh shit.
There's something going on here, because that's two sheets gone missing now.
Yeah.
Now that there's somewhat less activity in the room, Pettidy will have a look around to see if there's anything else in here.
There's lots of pieces of sheet.
Yes.
Quite a few broken chairs. Lots of pieces of glass.
Mm-hmm.
I broke a chair?
Many chairs.
I must have. Okay.
They had curtains on them.
Your hands are covered in what look like paper cuts. But you know what are really sheet cuts.
No, those sheet cuts, yep.
It's those sheets.
Not splinters at all.
No.
There are no splinters or bruises here from hitting wood at all. It's all sheets.
Yeah. Those magical sheets that keep paper cuts.
You need to give him a magic cloak he can't refuse.
Well, you've got a tablet over it. That's close.
Yes. But a cloak is a body sheet.
Yeah, I guess so.
Although you could think very hard about it being a blanket.
So, there's no need to encourage an expansion of his delusion.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't look at my cloak, which sort of
copy.
billows. Yes, that is a point. Please don't attack my cloak.
No, I haven't
Even
vision yet.
Even though it's billowing and wafting the same way they were.
It does, it's just to annoy you.
Yeah.
When you look in its direction.
It gets on my nerves a little bit, but I can usually cope with it.
Especially considering his hair will brush in the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always away from you.
It could be worse if it went towards you.
I reckon I'm
Until it
close.
gets close. Suddenly, I have a question.
Which way is Tidal from him? That way. Which way is my hair billowing? Towards Tidal.
Yes, I turn around until my hair is straight over my head and go, he's behind me.
That's the best and the worst compass ever.
The billowing of Tidal. Okay. And the next room along is what you were told was the guest lounge before all the service quarters start up. Looking in, you see a half dozen stuffed chairs rest near the entrance to this lavish decorated chamber. Beyond them, at the rear of the room, is a rectangular table flanked by high-backed chairs. Dishes and silverware rest upon a crimson tablecloth, and a covered silver serving dish sits in the centre of the table. 5 well-dressed men and women are sitting down to meal. Their clothing is antiquated but in good condition. All wear makeup, their faces as white as their powdered wigs, and their lips crimson with paint.
Apologies, back again.
All good. You see a bunch of people sitting around a table looking like they're eating.
All well dressed.
All dressed as English nobility fops with wigs.
Regency style.
Marvellous.
Not an inch of natural skin colour anywhere.
Sorry?
Not an inch of natural skin colour anywhere.
Do they appear concerned? Like, do they react to our opening the door?
They turn and look in your direction and gesture for you to join them.
Do they look undead like last lot we were looking at?
Well, they don't look translucent.
No, well, Yeah, but that could be paint over something else.
Yeah, join us, join us. You don't look like guardsmen. You look too thin to be guardsmen.
Apparently we need more food to fill up with.
That's what they're inviting us for.
Okay.
Come, come, sit, eat. There's plenty to eat.
It's this awkward thing you
So how big is like how many people are we talking about? And
There
are there spare seats at the table?
There are 5 at the table currently. They are big chairs. So there are another 6 chairs at the table.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, the feast downstairs was quite nourishing or quite delicious.
Yes.
So,
We can have some of this.
Okay, so all the food is underneath platters. So they just use to sit down while they start preparing. While they talking amongst themselves.
mhm.
Alright. Okay, I know I didn't partake of the last one.
Oh, come, come,
I will
eat.
partake of this one.
Okay,
I will
so
open the lid of the platter in front of me.
so the first one you lift up, you can see what appears to be the upper chest of a person. You can see the chest still beating.
Guys, look at this one.
One of the nobles that's sitting at the thing just grabs a chunk of meat off, just rips it off, still dripping, and eats it.
I
Okay.
look under another lid.
Penedy ate well at the feast downstairs. Considering no time's passed, he's suddenly not that hungry anymore.
I'm not that hungry, just look at this one. What's the second platter show?
Second one shows what appears to be the head of someone blinking up at you, mouth trying to say something but has no lungs.
I put the lid back on.
Penedy is going to have a closer look at some of these guests at the table.
Give me an investigate roll.
They're all nobles.
13 plus.
All vampires.
Plus it's 19 total.
Okay, you can tell they are exceptionally gaunt and definitely not human, using face paint to cover their inhumanness. Their fingers are extremely long for humanoids, and they strike you as what you remember
Is there-
ghouls to be.
I was about to say, is there a smell as of yours?
Oh, you got a nice perfumey smell in the room.
Yes.
They skimmed at no expenses.
So enough perfume to cover a ghoul smell.
Mm-hmm.
Because ghoul are noted for smelling.
Well,
So what are we
okay.
going to do
When
about this
Penedy
collection?
notices the dinner guest that's with, he's going to be drawing his big knife for cutting with.
Okay, so though I will ask both Llewell and Tidal to make a will saving throw based on what they lifted underneath their platters.
Yeah. Ooh, natural 20.
Oh, also an
Oh,
So
yeah.
apparently between the two of you, you look at each other at the same time as you're lifting the lids, looking at the food, looking at each other, put the lids back, and as Brady is reaching for the weapon, you're also reaching for your weapons.
We go. We'll do what he's doing.
Yep.
Hey, I'm just drawing a carving knife.
Yes. Yes. I watched a video of someone with a carving knife. It's actually based on a historical precedent or a picture.
So I'll give both of you who got
Yep.
20s advantage on your initiative roll.
Ooh.
Okay.
Right. Still only got 14.
Penedy on 14 for initiative.
It's basically a two-handed falchion that is effectively a blunt-ended cleaver about that long, about that wide,
So 14 for
with
Brady.
a handle on it this long. So
Tidal
the whole
got,
thing's like,
20.
yeah, whole
and
thing's
Llewell
this size.
got. What did Llewell get?
13. And the blade's this thick. And he used it on a piece of tree, and it just went chonk.
So apparently Tidal goes first.
Okay.
As you see, as basically they seem to be eyeing you up as and they
As
seem to be
an
looking
excuse.
at other platters they've got sitting off to the side.
Going, oh, we could refill them.
So these things we've opened up are other people, are they?
They are people.
So they're eating people, basically.
They're ghouls.
Okay, cool.
But the people aren't dead.
Oh, they're still alive somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, the people are still moving.
The one I opened up, it was a chest with a heart still beating.
Oh, okay, right. Yep, okay.
And the other one-
And the next one was a head with the eyes blinking.
And the mouth trying to talk.
Are we trying
We're
to
gonna kill 'em.
carve these things up or killing these ghouls?
The ghouls.
Okay, the ghouls, cool. Alright.
Yes.
Well, the ghouls are offering you eating some of the still living person.
But we are going to have to.
What was under my platter?
So basically, under your platter would probably be a hand trying to move away. Not undead. Not the creeping claw, but an actual hand.
Cool. I'm going
Slaughter
to
them.
grab the hand,
Mm-hmm.
throw it at one of the ghouls, and as my bonus action, I'm going to punch them.
Okay. So you give me a toss roll to see how well you're at tossing hands.
The hand
you
panics and
use
holds on.
advantage for the tossing.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not good. That's the 13.
Okay, tossing it. You manage to go finger first into the mouth. And you hear this crunching sound from the other side.
Excellent. And as he's
And
crunching
he's distracted.
I'm going to give him an uppercut.
Sure.
It would have been amusing level 1. It would have grabbed on, climbed up your shoulder and sat there. You'd have a pet hand.
Until the rest of it grew.
14?
How much did you do? 14?
14. Oh,
14.
hang on, no. Can I use my... Oh, yes, yeah, 14.
14 to hit.
Oh, it's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
So roll 5 magic damage.
5 magic damage. Okay, so you basically crunch him in the jaw. We see teeth and finger flying.
Yep.
As you strike meekly. Then it's his go. He tries to claw at you because you're so close.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Apparently, he gets caught on the hand.
Okay.
And the hand pins him to the table.
He bit one finger.
You roll a 1.
That's awesome.
So he was basically trapped to the table by the hand you threw at his face.
Good job, hand.
Well, you're not talking to the hand.
Exactly.
So he's missing a finger. Okay. So one of the other ghouls tries to swipe at you. And he hits armor class 22
That's a hit, and that sounds like a very dangerous hit.
with a slash of his claws. You get to make a constitution saving throw.
Oh, that's right, because schools have like infection and stuff.
Stun. Yeah.
19?
19. Okay, so
They're very rude. If they're good at it, they can stun lock you. Equally, there's multiple of them.
so he does 7 points of slashing damage. As you can feel your body wanting to lock up at the touch.
Yep.
One of the ones near the
Sorry,
well
paralysis, not stun. Yes.
tries to do the same to you, hitting a whole armor class 12 with his claws.
Nope.
Oh, I wouldn't like that one. Would miss me.
Yes.
And the fourth one goes for Prey Deer, moving over to him with a whole armor class of 12. Apparently moving slowed him down.
Mm-hmm.
How many ghouls are in this room?
Not actually how it is, no.
And the last one goes for Total, hitting armor class 14.
That's a miss.
I know.
15 armor class.
But I thought I'd announce it so you could at least say, I got missed.
Yeah,
And he misses you. So it is now Prady's go as you see them trying to take you out with their ghoulishness.
Well, Pettidier will effectively stand up with a A bonus action disengage.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to be in a room full of girls, but this is not how I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll just go for clearing some space potentially, and we'll try turn undead. So yeah, present your holy symbol, i.e. the sword. Speak that prayer. Each undead, wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
With a target of not particularly clear what the target actually DC is.
It should be your class DC.
As in, like, effectively spellcasting ability DC, save
Yeah.
using?
Well,
So it'd be 13.
your cleric class DC.
Yeah, 13.
Which isn't going to be
Yeah.
high.
So Jeremy, could you also make a religion check while you're doing so?
Mm-hmm. 15, 24.
Okay, so the moment you start to do it, you're feeling a strain because apparently your god's not in this world. But as you push, suddenly there is this burst and outpouring of energy from you. Everything within sight of you is lit up for the first time, sort of a version of light. Imagine peeling back a curtain in a dark room.
Yep.
You've pretty much just done that to everyone in the room.
Ooh.
And it's radiant.
And it's
And we
coming-
hadn't necessarily realised exactly how dark it would be, and we'd sort of got vaguely used to the darkness.
Well, there is no sun.
Yep.
It was a bit dim.
And basically, as far as everyone's concerned, you could see normally.
Right.
So you throw out this huge burst of light around you. Your hands and arms ache from the strain of it. You can see bits of skin burn all around your arms as the entire table just engulfs in flame as the ghouls around you all burst.
Okay.
And
That was
you see dust falling where they were standing.
Yep, that was somewhat more effective than I expected it to be. So, how much soul burn did that accidentally cost me?
None. It was basically the equivalent of you managed to pull off contacting your god into a place where you weren't supposed to be.
And your god going, oh, a bit dim around here.
And he's actually outside the time where you're expected to be.
You've surprised your god. That was him blinking in surprise.
And he still answered your call.
But without you using a power, so no soul burn.
And so both Fluel and Tidal have after images of you standing in front of them. Even when they close their eyes, they can still see you.
Yes.
With the power of what do I spell? The power of Atruaghin.
You've Atruaghin.
So yes, you have managed to take out 5 ghouls with 1 blow.
Yes.
That's,
I don't think this is the feast we want to be invited to again.
new.
Did it also put the food to rest?
No, the food is still apparently alive.
Because it's not undead. Okay, is it all sort of bits of one body?
You think so? You think it, from what you can look at it, it's something that has the ability to regenerate.
But it's all one being.
Yep.
Put him back together. Including the mangled hand, which should regenerate.
So it takes a while to put him back together.
Yes.
The leg bones connected to the foot bone.
Penedy would make a comment about playing your food, but I'm not sure it's appropriate here.
Hey, no. No, it's okay. It's amusing, but no.
That actually happened.
So it does it actually work? Okay, it's very creepy.
Possibly if you start by putting the head on the body You might get some lungs behind the mouth to actually so you can say.
Well, yeah, head on upper torso. By the time we get to the next bit, he should be capable of talking.
So we actually have the good Okay, so from the looks of things, it looks like a relative of the troll,
Okay.
but a more intelligent version, and not well known in your world.
No,
But you do recognise it as a
it's
Thul.
sorry.
Thul, Thul. It's a
Okay.
monstrosity.
Hmm.
As long as it doesn't take acid or fire damage, it will regenerate.
So don't
Okay.
give it any perfume.
Okay, I'll try not to.
Actually, no. The perfume he used would actually be fine.
Yes.
Well, let's hope he's grateful for being put back together.
And when you finally put him back together, he's about 6.5 feet tall,
Cool.
with orange skin and dark grey hair.
Yeah. Actually, there's a point. Because
And if you've got a big belly, maybe he's one of the guardsmen designed for these clothes.
Yeah. He'd have been able to feel
Everything.
them ripping bits off him, even if it's only the head.
Yep.
So yeah, hell of a torture.
Don't worry, it's only been happening all morning.
There's no.
But no
only in
time
there.
passed, so he hasn't be able to think.
There's no only in there.
Because everything's morning to him.
Yes.
Okay, he thanks you in a very French accent, which is butchered by his troll tongue.
Of course.
Do we speak troll?
Trolls?
No, he speaks a common.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Trolls normally speak common and giant.
He asks how he may be of service.
Yes, congratulations on being whole again. How well do you know this castle?
I was hatched here.
So you would know it well.
I know that place very well.
Do you know which room Etienne is kept in?
He is kept in the morgue. Crypt.
Can you lead us there safely?
Servants are not permitted in the place of the dead.
Can you point us in the right direction?
He says it should be in the back of the chapel. Again, only family members are supposed to travel through that side into the chapel. The servants are limited to just the family rooms, the up and downstairs of the west wing, and providing support in the indoor forest and the east wing.
Indoor forest.
They generally
Cool.
kept out of the chapel.
Yes. And who these who were feasting on you?
Apparently guests at the time of the
Change.
looking for the right word in my head at the moment, but party after someone's died. Wake.
Oh, it's in the wake. Yep.
The wake thrown for Etienne.
So Etienne died recently.
No.
No, it was ages ago, but it was only this morning.
Yes. His death cursed the family.
Right. So we have to. It makes my brain hurt. Well, he's hoping there aren't any more of this sort of guest.
Do we know how he died?
No. Family likes to hush that sort of thing up.
Do you know if there are any other guests here remaining from the wake?
There were some cats. There were.
I believe we met the cats downstairs.
There may be others, but I have not. I was serving here recently, and then I sort of lost track of time.
So you haven't seen some of the guests because you were otherwise occupied.
I was otherwise being served.
I wasn't going to go there too soon.
But they did say it tasted nice.
They have been eating all morning.
They have.
Goodness. That's right. I'm now having pictures, images of the Thule at the beginning of the feast, having been wheeled in on a big platter. It says, try the rum, it's delicious.
Yes.
Very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Indeed.
At least it wasn't titled Oh Sheet.
Yes.
It was just perfect for this game.
Yes.
Okay, so he tells you how to get to the chapel through the forest if you can make it there.
And did he say that the servants were allowed in the forest?
Oh, they were. They just don't like to go there.
Is there problems in the forest?
It's dangerous.
Yes, it's dangerous. They're
How
hunter
big is this forest? Is it something we're likely to get lost in trying to find the crypt?
The forest
chapel?
is as big as the east or west wing.
So the fact that it's
How
inside
big is
a
the
building
forest?
means it's actually pretty huge.
Yes.
And the hunter likes to hunt things in it, so there's going to be things worth hunting in it.
Yep.
So it's going to hurt.
And if there are any, it's not particularly thick forest, though they do have its thick points. The downside to the forest is that the hunter's there. And the things he hunts and the thing that hunts him.
Right. And are there pathways in the forest?
Yes. Sticking to the path isn't always safe.
That's right. Going off the path is about as safe.
Well, personally, I'm thinking the fact that if the if we enter it from what are we in the west wing at the moment? Or the east wing?
You're in the west wing.
West wing, and it's in the south, is it?
It's
the
in the
chapel, the
centre.
chapel is south of the forest.
Yeah.
So the chapel is north of the forest.
North of the forest.
It shares the northern wall of the forest, whereas your wing shares the western wing of the forest.
Yeah. So my intent would be, rather than kind of follow the pathways, if we just stick to the west wall until we reach the north wall, and then follow the north wall until we find a door to the chapel.
Yep.
At least that way, there's always something in our back that means that we can't be attacked from all directions.
Yes.
And we're unlikely to get lost that way.
Also true.
Though he does say beware the crocodiles.
Is there a
prefer
lake
where the
or a river in the forest?
Yes, there is a river in the forest, and it originates along the wall between the west wing and the chapel.
Yes. I would prefer to be where the crocodiles aren't, but
And how big is this river?
The river is it goes all the way from goes right through the forest and out the other side, and it is at least 10 to 15 feet wide.
That may make it more challenging to just follow a wall and go around.
yes.
And it basically crosses the whole castle from side to side.
Yeah, we'd have to find a.
The only way to safely cross the river is using bridges on the path.
Right.
Do you know how many bridges there are?
One.
I'm guessing it's approximately central in the forest.
Yep.
Hmm.
It's sort of it's almost unlike a maze, except a very simple maze.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we go along the wall until we get to the river, bait the crocodiles up, leap across their backs to the other side.
Though beware the billy goat on the bridge.
Of course.
Which is why it's probably safer to use crocodile back.
Well, actually, no. Clearly, I suspect that. Well, yes, I, not Powder here, suspects that. Well, yes. Obviously, the Thule, i.e., relative of a troll, is scared of the billy coat on the bridge.
I thought the trolls eat the billy goat.
Sorry?
Because it's a really mean billy goat.
And he's a troll.
What, so the billy goat managed to pay his toll and now he's upset?
A troll.
Yeah, trolls set up tolls under bridges, don't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Historically,
And the billy coat disapproved. Or the other alternative, of course, would be we stick to the original plan, and we don't need to wait for crocodiles. Just jump across the river, won't you?
You can just jump across the river. I'm sure that will work. Though the crocodiles are within 10 feet of the river. You'll find them.
Yes, which is why we bait them and then use them to cross. Of course, we may have to kill a few of them.
I'm sure an elf would just run across them.
A properly athletic elf with ranger level, certainly.
You look at you, isn't that what you are? Well, you just have to run across a little bit of them.
Because Kennedy
Just
knows
to-
that he can get
I'll
across the
be
river no
able to
problem.
run across a little bit of them.
So
You
Jeremy,
can dimension door across the river.
There are actually better ways.
I
You don't want that stuff, do you?
Quirk.
Well, there's another spell I have access to which basically just allows me to fly.
And he does say that the forest was set up based on the nursery rhymes of the family that they grew up with.
Which means there's a little weird stuff that we won't have any idea about because they're not our fairy tales.
I was going to say, I don't know that we've actually aware of some of these tales. Do you know some of the tales that you're thinking of? There's a lovely little girl. There's a lovely little girl who wears a red cape.
There's the story of the maiden and the unicorn.
Uh-huh.
The story of the billy goats were. There is King Midas's acorns. And the wild hunt. And the flowers of evil.
Yeah.
So, just the usual fairy tales, he says.
Usually
What
fairy
about
tales
those-
for you guys.
What about those books in William's room or whatever? his
Yeah, we
name
could go and
was?
look them up. Once now we've got the names of the tales.
Well,
Yeah,
or
why
we
don't
can
you
just
see those
ask
books
our
if you have
resident
some
expert.
Tales in them.
Yeah, we could ask that, and he could tell us what's going on. He probably knows exactly what's in the forest too.
Well, no, I'm talking about our rescuee.
Yeah.
He probably knows just as well.
Yeah, just asking for the story of the actual tales.
But
because
I'm
we
wondering,
don't know them.
while he's getting himself together and recovering, is there a place we can sit down and chat for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we
Probably
manage
not
to
this
find
room.
like a book that has tales in it, we could take it with us for reference.
Well, he's happy to take you to the servants' quarters, but he doesn't recommend staying there too long because some of the guardsmen which you're dressed as come around and they're not much to talk to.
Right.
Is there some suitable attire that would be less oppressive?
Well, he says
We
he
were
says
simply
you're all
born-
probably thin enough to fit into the servants' quarter, the servants' clothing, because he's wearing the thin servants' clothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So emancipated troll.
Mm-hmm. Employed.
Because we'll explain the fact that we were simply wearing this because it was mentioned that some of the animated denizens and traps within the castle recognise the colours.
Yeah, they basically say you are a servant of the family, don't attack you.
It's probably
Yeah.
why the ghouls didn't go for us first up.
So we're happy to wear whatever might be most appropriate. And to be honest, potentially more comfortable than these rather voluminous garb.
Mm.
But say if he's happy to sit down in the servants' quarters and have a bit of a chat, that would be good.
Yes.
He will take you to a nice room to chat that is currently empty.
Yeah.
He says nothing here has tried to eat him recently.
Always a bonus.
Recently.
Well, not since
Not
before
since
this
the
morning.
guests. Yeah.
You have a feeling this castle has always been weird.
All weirdness.
So he describes that there are thorn bushes there that he doesn't recommend trying to get through because even if you try to force your way through it, it will damage you. They are resistant to magic and can only be hacked through, but in hacking them, they'll strike back.
Sorry, I missed the start of that conversation. What were we talking about?
Go passing through the forest. If you try to hack your way through the thorn bushes are magic immune,
Yes.
And
Bring
I'm
it up.
guessing that would also then leaving the pathway is counts to hacking your way through thorn bushes, does it?
There are some of the areas off the path that require hacking through thorn bushes to get to.
Okay.
Um,
Because I'm just wondering again whether or not we're like the plan of sticking to the west wall and then to the north wall, and jumping over the river or swimming it or whatever. But yes, if there's going to be other barriers of fighting through particularly thick vegetation.
so if you manage to make your way out of the, there is a opening above the forest that will get you into the loft of the chapel.
So we can go up and come in on the second floor, you mean?
More like the third or fourth floor.
Well,
But there's only 2 floors in the chapel. The base
Yeah.
and the loft.
right.
It's just way above the first floor of the castle.
Okay.
There are pit traps scattered throughout the area away from the path of the forest.
Marvellous.
And it'll be difficult terrain to move through the forest, anything but the path.
Well, does Tidal or Lul have a way to get across the river easily?
Technically, but I'm not sure if that magic will work here. I mean, my water whip worked, but I'm not sure if the other one will.
And crossing the river by a swing will take at least 10 minutes.
Because I can create a 15 feet high, 30 foot long ice block thing.
Because anything that enters the water seems to reduce in size.
Oh, it reduces in size.
Yep, all the
Oh.
crocodiles do not.
Right, okay.
So it takes 10 minutes to cross it in your reduced size.
Yeah. So whilst the river might be only 10 feet across, it looks a lot bigger when you actually get in there.
Right.
But the crocodiles don't shrink.
Yeah. Well then, I'll have
Which
to...
means they stay all that more hungry because you're barely even a mouthful every time.
Yeah, I won't have to range for it then. I recommend we take the bridge of doom. I mean, what?
Because Benedict, he's got his whistle, so he can fly across and or around.
If it works.
No reason not to think it would.
You might just whistle and all the crocodiles come for us because you've summoned them.
Okay, so the things that wander the area away from the path are brown bears, centaurs, bloodhawks, one of the deambules, or more than one. Giant insects, giant snakes, giant weasels, werewolves, and owlbears.
There's a hell of a lot of things for what's actually not a very big forest.
Yeah.
So, okay, whenever you try to cross the river, you shrink in size and it takes 10 minutes. It's meant to be an adventure.
Yeah. Let's go out there around the outside and see if there's a back door.
The only way into the chapel is through the forest.
So
I remember I believe we were running out of outside when we came in.
That's true. So, here's where we do some wall climbing, and we climb above the forest on one of the side walls, and climb along to the end and then climb down. At which point the only thing we have to worry about is bloodhawks and mosquitoes.
Well, like I say, with Tidal's comment about whether or not the whistle will work, Benedict will pull the whistle out and have a bit of a twiddle, and see if he can float up to the ceiling for a bit.
You can still fly.
Yep.
Okay, well, at least we know that works.
Okay, well, it didn't look like there's been any issue with any items so far.
No, but this place is weird, so we've got to be safe.
But yeah, you guys won't necessarily be able to cross the river easily, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like Pedadir can carry anyone while he whistles.
Yes.
Well,
I could try and dimension Doris and see if I can do it while carrying my spear.
We could share the whistle, but I'm not getting cooties.
my whistle. It's an Atruaghin whistle.
Mm-hmm.
He might be worried about your cooties.
Okay, well, I guess that means we're probably taking the path then, potentially. I mean, we can give it a try and see how we go, see if it goes sticking to the wall.
Yeah.
But by the sound of it, we should be prepared to go the path.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, perhaps the if our friendly Thule might direct us to a copy of these story tales that apparently all children in your world are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he says that's in the museum, and he tells you roughly where the museum is and what sort of book to look for. But the servants aren't permitted in the museum area.
Well, some of us are wearing guards uniforms, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he can't take us directly to the museum because
Yeah.
He knows you're not servants or guards.
Yeah. That's the thing. Anyone important actually knows we're guests, no matter how we're dressed.
Yeah, weren't we just in the museum like 20
yeah,
minutes
okay.
ago?
Like we know where the museum. I was more concerned about because you mentioned it was a museum rather than a library. I was thinking, hang on, yes, a book of fairy tales. There might be a library in the castle rather than
There was a library downstairs, but it dealt with more up to date things.
Yeah. Oh, that's where the cats were, wasn't it?
That's where the cats were.
Oh, yes.
The cats were going through the library looking for something important that they can't remember.
That's right. That apparently they got told to look for by Richard.
Yeah.
Who also didn't remember what he told them to look for. Possibly again part of that curse that meant that the William wasn't able to talk about anything because he became dementia.
Yep.
Possibly it's now that we've got a better idea of what might be looking for, maybe we should look down in the library for information on Stephen.
Useful. Actually, yeah.
You want to head there before you
Yes.
Well, I mean, part of the problem will be, of course, that Claude's probably the only one that can read any of the books. So, but did I'm just trying to think earlier? Did the Thule mention Stephen? The death of Stephen, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, he said he didn't know how he died.
But the point was, he could talk about Stephen.
Yes. Which no one else has. Several other people haven't been able to do.
We'll ask some more questions about the family, how they got here, what they were doing. Obviously, he won't necessarily have knowledge of the family's plans and interactions necessarily.
Well,
but hey,
he does know that Stephen was the prince of the family,
Mm-hmm.
head of the family, and that the others wanted his position.
okay.
He was also the most powerful spellcaster the family has ever seen,
Right.
outstripping almost all of them together.
Wow.
Okay. And now again, I was saying the fact that, well, yes, servants may not know, but then also servants are and invisible, so they may well be happy to be present when they're doing plans with pieces. Does he know about the gate or anything like that was formed between the castle and the families and the Scotsmen here?
It says what he knows of what happened was that the head of the house, Etienne, and the head of the Scottish clan got together, and between them formed the gate.
And when you're saying head of the house, you're saying Etienne?
Yes.
Yeah.
In that sense, yep.
Rest of the family could not match that level of power.
Mm.
Implication that the Scots was almost as powerful or equally powerful as Etienne?
They both destroyed family heirlooms in the process of creating the gate.
Right. So the Scot was powerful, and they both borrowed power from magic items.
They sacrificed many things to get here.
Which also potentially then explains that the Scots also have a presence in Glantry,
Yeah.
along with Stephen.
The northern province, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right below Moldavia, around that area. Plantire, I think it's called.
Okay, so we're aware that Etienne d'Amville was one of the princes of Glantry.
Yep.
Are we aware that there were other significant members of the d'Amville family in Glantry?
From memory, there were no significant members of the d'Amville family besides the headmaster.
Right.
Everyone else was not spoken of with any knowledge. They had faded into obscurity.
But they were present in Glantry?
You think so? They faded so much into obscurity you can't sort of remember who was who.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it wasn't something your character researched or looked into.
No, that's right. I'm happy that it was acknowledged that we don't know, but it was more just a thought that, hang on, we've got all these Amberville family members trapped in this castle, except for Stephen, who's apparently died, and he's seemingly the only one that actually got into Glantry, from what we remember.
Yes, he's also probably the only one not actually trapped here because he's trapping everybody else.
Well, or apparently he's dead here. So, now again, whether or not that's because that's the story that means that yes, the rest of the family can be stayed here and how he got away, but
There was a story you did hear about how the headmaster and his family had been trapped in the past, and a bunch of heroes had come and rescued him and his family, with the implication that his family were also rescued.
Yep.
But his family were always referred to as his family, not in name.
Yep. And the fact that also he was apparently alive when the heroes came and rescued him and the family from imprisonment.
No, that's not what it implies. What it implies is after the rescue, he was alive, but there's nothing saying when he became not dead.
No, that's right.
So it could have been after the actual rescue.
Certainly, if you only know the story of Stephen Amberville and his family were rescued, the immediate implication is they were all alive at the time of the rescue.
Technically, if you bring him back to life, he's alive at the time of the rescue.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's the thing. Not necessarily. It is possible to rescue his body and his family. They're now rescued, and then you revive him.
Yeah, but obviously
it's more likely the other way around, mind you, because his magic is going to be needed to do this.
From what we know of the story, and obviously again, not something we necessarily paid great attention to, so therefore potentially would have made the assumption that, oh yes, well, obviously we all got pulled out of the mountains, wherever it was they'd been rescued from.
Exactly.
Without the statement of, well, actually they pulled the body out of this one and they resurrected him. So, right. Did the story say how many heroes were involved?
It did not. It just said heroes. Heroes that were not named or given any details because they were lost in time as well.
Just realised something. It is theoretically possible because, despite the fact that he's been dead for a long time, it happened basically just now because of how time's working here. That my revivify will actually work on him because no time has passed.
Possible.
We just need some diamonds.
And unless it said, and one thing to keep in mind with 5th edition, which is not clear for a lot of people, unless it actually states that the material component is consumed, you do not consume material components in this, even if it says component.
Yeah, I know.
I have to state that because only some items consume.
Yeah, there are. If you read a bunch of different spell descriptions, it's quite obvious. Some of them say if you actually consume your focus,
Well,
and it
either
actually does
way,
something extra.
diamonds are not
Although-
actually a problem.
I think we can find some here.
Yes.
Well, no,
Here, no.
because Penalty gets paid by Redrian in diamonds.
He does.
True.
Oh.
Because he doesn't accept money.
It's not metal.
There you go, that'll work.
So diamonds are not a problem.
Yes. Not a-
You've been holding out on us all this time.
He does have a preference for emeralds based on the Atruaghin preference for that.
Oh, I see. So you have been holding out on us. Oh.
Right.
Hey, who just gave you a box full of money?
By getting each of the different
Yeah.
5 elemental stones, always a good thing
Yeah.
for
Okay.
landscape.
It does actually specify that pretty well. Those wording. You can use a component, pouch, or spellcasting focus. Normally, it is not consumed. If a cost is indicated, you must have that specific component. Fair enough. If a spell states that a material component is consumed by the spell, the caster must provide this component for each casting. So,
Well, as I said, we'll find the body, and then diamonds are not in itself a problem.
I dragged down the page marker, and it went straight to Revivify. One move. I'm good at this stuff.
It knows you well.
It does. Diamonds worth 300 GP, which the spell consumes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will consume.
In this case, it specifies. Or it may be 1 diamond. It's a real bastard if you've got 1,000 GP diamond.
Or a 10,000 GP diamond.
Yes. Of course, if you go by the wording of this, it could only consume 300 GP of it.
Anyway,
It could be read that way.
Could be, yes.
But the big thing is that this it's a 3rd level spell. It works on someone who's died within the last minute. But because of what's happening here, that's still contained in the circumstances.
possible. But we'll keep. Okay, let's cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yes. But the potential is there.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm recommending that, yep, we go and have a look at the museum again.
Okay, you find various books on fairy tales, and none of the fairy tales quite match what he said.
Yeah.
So while there's one about a woman and a unicorn, it doesn't quite match what the servant said.
Yep.
And the servant sort of says that the unicorn guards the maiden, whereas this one is more the maiden's in love with the unicorn.
Okay.
The bridge is basically a test of character in the fairy tale. There is a one as a test of bravery with the spirits of the forest, and various other tests of a person's merit.
So going into it knowing that they are tests means we should have some advantage on actually performing them.
Well, at least have a bit of understanding what to expect from them anyway.
Well, we know that, yeah, but we also know that they're tests to be passed. It's not something trying to just remove us.
Yeah.
And that the fact they are tests, not just the universe doing things to you.
Well, the fairy tales are tests.
I know, yeah.
Fairy tales are described in the form of a test.
I know, but the
Yeah,
people
the
who
morality
but
tales
the
and that
people
sort of way,
inside
so.
the fairy tales don't see them as such. That's my point.
I know.
We can see them that way. They're stories, they're tests, and they're easier to handle because you know it's just a test. It's not just the universe fucking with you.
Okay, so making your way down to the library.
Because we did depart the cats on friendly terms, I think, from memory, didn't we?
You did.
They
And
did-
you had.
Didn't they ignore us mostly?
They did ignore you mostly.
Yeah.
They didn't attack us or snub us. So
Yeah.
And if we tell them we're coming here to help them walk, I'm sure that'll go down well as well.
Maybe.
But yeah, so I guess again we're down in the library taking a look for, well, potentially other versions of the fairy tales, but also now that we've got a better understanding of what sort of books we might be looking for, and particularly some family history type books or
Okay, so having a look,
interactions with the Scots.
having a look around, they do tell you that in beneath the castle is a gate to the province of Atruaghin in France. The gate still exists.
Right.
It was never destroyed.
Oh dear. So, we
And that there is a silver key required to open the gate.
So we find the silver key, go through the gate, explore a bit, discover French cheese and girls at the beach, and are lost forever.
And when you mention silver key, one of the cats opens a box and says, "This key," holding up an ornate silver key that matches the picture in the book.
That actually matches this picture exactly. That seems to be the one. Can we borrow it, please?
Okay, hands it to you. Doesn't even think anything of it. Goes back to his reading.
Since
Well, you're
Pedadir
okay.
and presumably
You're
Title
okay.
can't do much with
Yeah.
the searching of these books since we can't read them, so I'm assuming they're all in French.
No, this room is actually, these ones aren't in French. The ones upstairs are in French. These
Right.
ones are in Traldar.
Oh, okay.
Which still leads to limited numbers of people who can actually read them.
Because the foundation language of Darkin, Galantry is Traldar.
Yep.
With a Thiavan overtone.
Well, then in that case, okay, well, Pedadir will certainly assist with the searching and looking and stuff. But he'll also make the comment about the idea of, well, first of all, when we get back there and talk looking, whether the cats have remembered what they were actually looking for. I'm assuming not.
Yeah.
And assuming they don't remember what they're looking for, Pedadir will absent-mindedly out loud talk about the fact, where am I going to find stuff about Stephen D'Amerville?
Okay, when you say that out loud, one of the cats pulls something off a shelf and says, I hear this, and then he goes back to his hunting for stuff.
Well, let's all pour over that book.
Yeah. Not quite the effect I was looking for, but hey.
It works.
I was thinking it might have been that might have been again, that sort of taboo topic that couldn't be remembered.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Okay, so looking at it, it seems to be the reference for the library you're in. As this is the this study is the personal notes of Etienne D'Amber. And you can see over 1,000 books here, all written in his own hand.
Which is why it's written in Chaldaran.
Yep.
Yes.
Of course.
This is a lot of reading. That's right, we've got time.
And so it tells you where to find things ranging from aging wines to the best growing, how to enhance wines with magic, which magic to avoid using, what fertilizers, and even the practice of witchcraft and divining relating to winemaking and basically accessing the Fae as ways of making the wines work better. The entire section is all about wines.
And how to create booze golems.
Yeah.
And are there any dates in the book?
The dates show that Etienne had been alive for probably
wine gold.
200 years.
Yeah, I know. This sounds
Yep.
awfully
But more importantly,
Yes.
alive in Glantry, alive in the demi-plane, or alive in France?
Both in France and in Galantry. He is the one who brought them over, and he also ruled them when he brought them over.
And so the implication being that, yes, the castle certainly arrived in Galantry and was in Galantry for quite some time while Etienne was building up this notes and library from his Galantry information, and then it's gone to this demi-plane. Is that right?
His notes all end before it came to the demi-plane.
Right, okay. So, does his notes refer to information about Galantry at all?
It has a big chunk of Galantrian history and how, when they were searching for a place to go to, this place lit up as a major source of magical power.
Right, okay. So it was certainly
Sigh.
the building of the gate was definitely targeted to Galantry. It wasn't just away from France; it was
Towards
targeted for
Galantry.
Galantry.
Yeah.
So,
Or at least
and so all the
possibly to go to
information,
somewhere familiar.
yeah. So all the information in his notes and therefore in this library, it has information about Galantry, but it's all written pre-Galantry. Is that right?
No, about half the notes are pre-Galantry, and half of it is translated for working with Galantry. It seems he learned Traldaran before transferring the family to Galantry.
Makes it easy once he gets here.
So
Yeah, none of that, but
he had
what I mean
explored
is
the place before his family came.
Yeah.
he had explored. He had been to Galantry
And
before
the
moving to the
language,
castle.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Before moving his family here, he'd spent about probably 50 years here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
And
from the implication of all the notes in the in the information in the library, there does not seem to be any information that's been added to this library since they went through the gate and brought the castle through. Is that
no,
right?
it looks like a huge amount has been added. So
Okay.
there are notations on adapting what they learned in France to what they to how this world works.
Okay.
So adapting their tilling techniques, their growing, their basically a big chunk of the natives of their lands who came here survived by using by growing grapes. So he adapted the seeds, he adapted the plants, he adapted the animals they brought with them so they could survive here.
Yeah.
Okay. So it certainly seems that the castle did get to Galantry, and after being in Galantry for some time, when it got trapped here.
So, going through enough of his notes, you do find that he had some contingencies set in place for if something ever happened to him.
Or he
Right.
sent the castle here because he wanted to hide it. So no one could
After,
find it.
okay, if he died, the castle and all the documents would get moved to this demi-plane type potential.
And it doesn't say what the contingencies are. It hints that the contingencies will be dire for his family.
Well, it's a pretty dire situation they're in right now, so yeah.
Right, that was one of the questions I meant to actually ask about Action the Fool type stuff when he was saying that a lot of the family were trying to oust him as leader. The question of, yes, whether they would be willing to kill him, kill their family to actually take the position.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the implication is yes.
There was noted down that he had threatened his family that there was contingency in place should they ever take him out.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of his notes say that most of his family is not fit to rule. He has not found one member of his family yet who he would be willing to subject his people to.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. Oh, it's his own fault for not bringing them up right.
He didn't raise most of them.
I was going to say, in the context of that passage, when he's saying about his people, is this when he was in France or when he was in Galantry?
In Galantry.
Right.
The people who he got through, he doesn't want to put under the thumb of anyone in the family who could claim the right to rule.
Yep.
He sees them as cruel, self-centered, and egotistical.
Yeah.
And that the worst of them will come through with the curse.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
There was a prophecy that an outside force would come and set things right, but he does not believe in such premonitions.
Of course, he'd have no problem taking advantage of it if it actually happened. because hey, means he's alive again.
Well, it does show that he was a fair and decent person, actually
Yeah.
helping people, which is more than a lot of the other people. And it's also talking about how he was hoping to become headmaster of the School of Magic and spread his philosophy of logic and science of magic to the rest of the people.
I have no problem with that.
That there is no evil magic, only evil uses.
Yes, guns don't kill people. People kill people.
You can use guns to kill people, but the guns alone are meaningless in their own right.
Yeah.
Yes, unless it's possessed. But then that's true of a knife.
So, you got any other immediate research questions?
Not that I can think of.
And that gives you a good end for the night.
Well, I was thinking back, yes. I know I'm pretty tired, and having looked at the time, thinking yes.
Yeah. Are there
Yeah.
any passwords that will get us past the things in the forest?
None, because
Because the hunt
It
master won't
changes.
let them. Yeah.
But yes, if we leave it there, then you've potentially got a couple of weeks to come up with other research questions, desperate, and then we can head out from this library.
Yes.
and now you know more than you have before, and you have a key you wouldn't have had otherwise.
That's right.
Indeed.
I shall visit soon.
And knowledge that you wouldn't have had otherwise, because the
Yes.
fact that the gate survived is something that's not known.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was certainly the sort of thing that, we're coming back. We had a much better understanding of the questions to ask.
Yeah.
And look, title didn't end up black and blue to answer questions.
Yet.
This
We'll
time.
wait till we get to the forest.
Well, but then it would be the fact that we don't actually necessarily need to go back to Jean, whatever his name was, to get you bashed up, just to have him answer some questions.
Yeah, that's true.
We probably can get most of the answers we might be looking for in this library now.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
So,
Unless it relates to what's happened to...
since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the notes were written.
We might be able to go back and get myself beaten up so we can get a question answered.
That's right, yeah. Did you kill Etienne?
Yeah.
And if
No,
yes, it's
no.
yes, it might suck. Yes, I did.
How?
okay,
That's
that'd be
another
it.
question. I'll get to be drop again for that one.
Okay, so thanks, Jeremy. I will see you
Thank you
tomorrow
very much.
night.
Yes.
And we'll see you tomorrow or next week or the week after.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Have a good night, all. Thank you
You
very
too.
much.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye for now.
And
Face was like, what have I done?